stage.
Okay,
Yep.
here we go. All right. So this is what I was just trying to work on for Jesse. So I've got this one. We'll just go over this quickly, right? So I've shown this one. This is a part of my presentation. Now, here we can see a pirate ship or a sailing ship, and we can see just here. I'll just make it a bit bigger. So we can see just here how when we're actually looking at it, we're from our side of the horizon, we will just see this section just poking up over the horizon. And to us, this would be like way down at the base by our feet or, below our feet. And way out here in the distance, you can just see this sail poking up over the horizon. Now, they are at the same point. Both of them are just poking up over this horizon. As we move closer, wrong way. So now as we move closer, we'll see how this one also moves closer. What both of these two ships are doing is they are both moving towards the horizon. This ship is moving towards the horizon. This ship is moving towards the horizon. They are doing the same thing. As they both keep moving towards the horizon, we will see them coming up over the horizon identically. On our side of the horizon, we know that what we are seeing is perspective. We are seeing the way that perspective works to us. Everything on our side of the horizon will appear to go on this visual upward trajectory, right? Because it's always going to be rising with the observer. Whether it comes perfectly to our eye level or whether it is slightly below or slightly above is completely irrelevant. What we see is this visual ramp in front of us. And as anything moves closer to the horizon, it will appear to rise up because the horizon is the furthest visual point that you can see the surface. You cannot see the surface of the ground beyond the horizon because that is the furthest visual point of where your eyes can see. Your eyes can't see anything above that surface unless there is, as an example, a mountain or something. Because now that mountain is higher than the actual horizon and you will see up here. But when it comes to the surface, you will not see beyond that. So then as the ship continually moves forward towards the horizon, we will see it on both sides climbing up over it until it reaches the horizon, which is now the furthest visual point that you can see. So what I've called the horizon is that the horizon is the dividing line of perspective, because what you have is perspective on my side of the horizon here. But for someone, so let's just say I'm on my right, I'm on the right and I'm looking to the left. Now, someone all the way over there on the left-hand side of the horizon, they're actually looking to their right. So when they're looking to their right, they're seeing the same thing that I am. They're looking at this visual ramp. This boat here is in their visual ramp down here. But they're on the opposite side. We have the horizon, which is dividing perspective. It divides my perspective looking towards my left from their perspective looking towards the right. So as anything moves towards the horizon, it will appear to rise up. And then when it moves away from the horizon, it will now appear to drop. Because now this one here is moving towards that person. This person on the other side over here has the perspective of everything now appearing to go down when it comes from the horizon, just as I have. So what I witnessed was this moving, appearing to drop, and they are watching the same thing. Okay. And we have to wonder, is this what happens in reality?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I just started working on this to show the same thing. So this is me as an example, or an observer looking to their left. And this is the same observer looking to the right. This line here is their horizon. They can't see each other because the horizon is dividing their perspective. So we have this person's perspective is ramping up, and this person's perspective, and we all know it's a visual ramp. It's not real. It's not really there. This is actually a zero level. But that's not how we see. We don't see orthographically straight across. We see straight in front of us. And when we see straight in front of us, we see perspective. Perspective doesn't exist until you get a height above any surface. So then I just started doing this one. I hadn't finished it. So he's seeing this. So what my plan is to put this one into a split screen and have this one playing here, and then have this one playing in a split screen. So you can actually see, like, okay, this is what the person's seeing. This is what each person is seeing from more of an orthographic type of view, almost, but we're still seeing perspective. And the other one is what they're seeing when they're looking front on.
Yeah. I really appreciate all the work that you're putting into this. It's interesting that the way this looks when you move the ship closer and closer together, it's almost like it's coming towards itself in a mirror.
Exactly. It is. It basically is a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, because if both of these ships are in the exact same position and you're at the same height, it's going to look identical, as provided that the conditions are equal,
So now what we have to, now in my mind, the way I'm seeing this, hey, what's going on, Paul? Pablo's dog in the house.
Hey, how are you, brother?
So what I'm kind of meshing together in my mind with your two observers in the other frame is that the what you're showing here is what would be on the horizon orthographically. If you saw two ships, if I was standing on the beach and I saw two ships in front of me, one to the right and one to the left, and they both looked like they were on the horizon and they were heading towards each other and they bread and buttered each other, passed by, but they were on the same horizon, I would be watching them going orthographically. But then if you think about it the way that you're mirroring it with the grid, the way that it looks to them is there's no ship in front of me. I can't see anything. Oh, there it comes up over the horizon. But when you're looking at it orthographically, they're just going straight towards each other.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But okay, so this is where it's going to get really weird, and this is where it is a complete optical world, right? So this is the next one that I'm going to another animation that I'm going to do, because let's say you are actually an observer who's in between those two. So you got one person, say 3 miles to your right, and another person 3 miles to your left, and the horizon is 3 miles. So for the person who's 3 miles to your right and the person who's 3 miles to your left, you're basically where their horizon is. But if you're all at 20-foot observer height, just as an example, for you, you see the horizon going up to the person on the right, and it would stop right where that person is. And you would see the horizon go up to the person on the left, right? So you're looking at it going up to both of those people. But to each of those people, they're looking at it coming up towards you. They're not looking at it going down towards you. They're looking at it going up towards you. Now, I don't know if you're, it's again,
There's a hump. There's a hump between the two of you, Paul.
Yeah. But that hump doesn't exist. You're in the middle of them. It's crazy. So here is, this is where I went and actually filmed this. So this is a friend of mine. This is a pretty decent sized boat, probably about 12 feet tall or so. It's a pretty good sized boat, maybe 5, 6, 7 meters long. And what happened was I'm on Brighton Jetty, which is the jetty that I quite often film. And my friend is well over here, and he is over on Grange Jetty, the jetty that I'm normally filming from. And what we were doing was seeing, well, what happens when this boat goes off, hits the horizon, and comes back to him. So does what I just explained to you, does that happen in real life? Because what I just showed you was a boat starting down low, moving towards the horizon, appearing to go up in our visual space until it gets to the horizon, and then dropping down once it gets to the horizon and moves away from the horizon. So does that happen in reality? So what we're watching here is, okay, so the jetty's actually over here, and what I wanted him to do was go straight. But I realized afterwards, well, hold on, I'll go to a different one and I'll show you. Just up here a
Hey,
little bit
Paul, can
further.
I just stop you just real quick?
Of course.
Hey, what if both of us take off of the video? I think it might. You were lagging just a little bit with your vocals, with the audio, but I think if we maybe save some bandwidth, I'm just guessing. I'm turning my camera off just to hopefully.
Um, okay, I don't know how to turn my camera off.
All right, no worries. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't know. So are we lagging? You can't see it?
No. It was just your audio that was lagging a bit, but it's just keep going.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's better now? Okay. So, all right. Let me just turn this down.
I love it
Just,
that you've got the POV on the boat. That's awesome.
yeah. So here we go from the person on the boat. So he's heading here towards me. This is me here. I'm on Brighton Jetty right here. And after seeing this, I was kind of spewing because what I wanted was to have it so that they would see the horizon moving away. But I should have had my GoPro zoomed in for them more. So it looks like it, obviously you can see the horizon's well off in the distance.
Yeah.
But now he couldn't see Grange Jetty, which is over here, right? So what he did was, as he got to me, he turned and went out and then started heading back in, right? Which is here. You'll see that he went off and he went our way out to the left. But I wanted him to go straight. But then I realized afterwards when I saw this, he didn't know where the jetty was. He just followed his GPS because his GPS told him to go way out here and then cut back down. And that kind
Huh.
of meant that both me and my friend had to look for him when
Yeah.
he went past.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
kind of a bit of a bugger. So next time, I've had a chat with him. Next time, he's going to make up his own GPS coordinates and then follow them straight from jetty to jetty.
Okay.
But now, as we see here, we watch him moving up. We know that he's going on an upward ramp because look at this part of his path is all the way down here, right? This
Mm-hmm.
part of his path is way down here within our vision. Now, this is all visual. We know that he's not actually going up. This is all visual. Everything is optical. So he started way down here, and now all of a sudden he's all the way up here, but he's still below the horizon. And then as he gets to the horizon, he keeps going up and up and up more. Now, my friend couldn't see him yet because he was basically trying to look straight across at where I was. He didn't realize I'm going, nah, man, you got to pan to your right to try and find him. So he was getting a little bit frustrated and confused because it was pretty heavy inferior mirage this day, which was good because it meant that we both had a specific horizon. And I wanted a horizon in between us. We're going to go out and do this observation where we can see actually from jetty to jetty, and I'll watch him go up and he'll watch him come down. But I wanted this because I wanted to have a horizon in between us. Now he still couldn't pick him, even though he should have been able to see him about now, but he couldn't find him because there were some other boats out there, and he was a little bit confused. So you can see there were other boats out there, and he got a bit confused. But now we're watching him climb right up into the horizon. And now he's getting to the horizon. And I think I sort of redid it a little bit here, so it pops back a little bit again. So we're watching him come up into the horizon again. And now I'm going to go into my friend's one. My friend didn't realize, but right there,
Nice.
he
Oh
didn't see
man.
it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, he didn't see it there to start with. He was still a little bit confused, and he's still panning back. And he's like, "I don't see it." And I'm like, "Go back to the other side." And he's like, "Oh, I got it." So now we see both of them in the inferior mirage. And we see he has this visual ramp here, and I have this visual ramp here. Neither of these ramps actually exist. We know that. It's a flat plane. But visually, this is
Can
how
I
our
jump in
eyes
just
work.
real quick?
Of course.
So I remember having these conversations early on with certain individuals. So you have the horizon where I'm talking about the top um, pane that you have right now with your friend's perspective.
Mhm.
It seemed to be a glitch in people's minds who hadn't made these observations and were fighting against this information. They would say things to the extent of, how can you have two different perspectives here at this angle? Because you have the rising of the floor like you're describing, but then you have the acute angle of the rest of the compressed distance in foreshortening that is a completely different plane, if you understand what I mean. So we
Mhm.
have this, right? So we have this plane from the floor going to the horizon, the dividing line of our visual space right now. The dividing line of that top pane is just below the boat where we can see all of the water. Now, the boat above the water is on its own plane that we can only see barely because of the wake of the boat. And then if you go farther beyond that to the shoreline where you're going to divide that with the vanishing line, you've got one, two, three different viewing angles that express distance, if you
Mhm.
understand what I mean.
Yep.
So, right, yeah. So their minds were, how does that happen? I'm like, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm explaining to you how to understand what you're seeing outside of the construct that you're used to. But it's still such a bizarre way. I'm tracking with you so well, but it's because I've thought about all of this so much over and over again. But these two or three different planes of angles is such a fascinating. Yeah, it's really too bad we couldn't see your friend coming out of the shadow, out of the mirage.
Yeah,
From
perfectly.
the first nano
Mhm.
whatever.
Yep. Yeah. It was a real shame, but afterwards when I watched back that GoPro footage, I'm like, oh, that's right. I have this privilege of knowing exactly where the other jetty is because I'm zoomed into it. Whereas my friend on the boat, he doesn't know. He's just following his GPS, and his GPS told him to go all the way out to the left and then turn to the right and head straight towards the jetty, which was a bit of a shame. But that's first time jitters. So next time he's going to make sure that he plans out a um, proper route heading straight to the jetty.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to do a few more of these, but I mean, what can you do? And also, my friend, he was not used to the camera, so this ends up being it stays blurry, unfortunately. But again, first time jitters, we'll get it better next time. So if we continue on from here, as I start to watch him disappear, my friend will start to watch him come down. So he still hasn't reached my friend's horizon yet. We're getting right to about this point here. And here's a buoy in the mirage. We know that the buoys are all around the 3.6 mile mark. We both had a horizon at around about 3 miles on this day, and there's 8 miles between us. So there was 2 miles of miraging in between us. So me looking to my side and him looking to his, there was a 2 miles worth of miraging there as we're looking through it. So now he's just coming out of the mirage now. And you'll see that as he moves out of the mirage and starts to go down, now we see the horizon cutting across here on him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all of this is now technically below the horizon to our visual, to our eyes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and we could perfectly say that it's below the horizon from the other perspective too, if you're talking about it the way that we see things.
Exactly. Well, they'd be like, oh, look, see, it's disappearing. It's going over a curve. It's not going over a curve. It's just popping into the other person's perspective. Because basically, what I'm looking at is what it's got to do is it has to rise up within my vision to this approximate 20-foot mark, and then it has to do a dropping back down to 0. So I'm at 0 technically. It's got to look like it's going up and down, or it's at 0. So it's got to look like it comes up to the 20-foot mark and then drop back down to 0. Do you kind of get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, and I think that the the assistance that we have with the Mirage is that it places the boat above the horizon,
Mhm.
which would show it continuing to go up in our visual space. That's what it's continuing to doing. That's what it's continuing to do.
Yeah.
Right, but it's yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you'll see that I do lose him. See how I'm starting to lose him here now? He's starting to
yeah.
disappear. And right when he has disappeared, just a tiny little bit more, right about there, now he's gone. And we see now here, the horizon's cutting across here. Right? And so
And
now
then
I've lost. Go on.
yeah, so now there's a second boat. Is that coming across from right to left? That's a different boat.
Yeah, that's a different boat now.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally different boat. There were a bunch of sailing boats and that came out as well.
Now,
Okay, so now,
I'm sorry, just to kind of maybe go back and say these things, again, if anybody's interested, is the point that I was making about the help that the Mirage gives us because it breaks the plane of the horizon and goes beyond the horizon, keeping in line with perspective and angular resolution because it's continuing to rise up farther to where it's finally going to vanish at the vanishing point. So then you have the apparent horizon created by the mirage, which means the reason why I'm using that term of apparent horizon and not being redundant is because above that line and farther away in the distance is where the vanishing point is, which is where really the true limit of our vision is. It's just behind a mirage at the same time, if that makes sense.
yes, because, okay, so in the past, I've said things like, see how we have the mirage cutting here? Well, some people would say, oh, that's where the horizon really is. But then if I was to just reverse this back a little bit here, this point right here would be higher. So we can see that this, I'm disappearing just up here and this one's down here. See, so I used to say that, okay, this point here of the horizon, or people would say this was the horizon. I'm like, well, clearly that's not the horizon. This is the visual horizon. This is what we see. So this is the horizon.
Right.
And this always, and the mirage always brings the horizon lower. It makes it appear lower. So this would be 100% below my eye level right now. There's no way this
Mm-hmm.
would be at my eye level because this had been
Mm-hmm.
brought up. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the further we see, the more distance we see, the more this perspectively will rise up higher. And even at this point here, where I'm disappearing here, on another day, the horizon could actually be up here. The horizon could be way up here somewhere.
Should
And
we find it?
I can show that. I'll demonstrate that after.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
show you the difference between the two.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so here we now see for my friend, it's dropping. See how we see the horizon up here now? Okay, so I've totally lost it. I can't see it anymore. And it is dropping below. Finally, it comes into a little bit more clarity. And when when the boat starts to turn, look at how high up the horizon is. Now, he'll be getting pretty close here.
Now, did he turn around and go back towards you?
Yep.
Okay,
So
good.
we'll watch it go the other way. But this one here will end. So this is right here is where he turned. So you can see this is Grange Jetty right here. And this is where he starts to turn. So that's at this moment right here is where he turns. Now, my friend turned his camera off, got a little bit confused, and then turned his camera back on about here. Right, so we'll still see him rise up. We see the buoys over here. And now I'm having to try and look for him. There was a whole bunch of sailing boats and everything out here at the moment. Clearly, I couldn't see him at the moment because I won't be able to see him until he gets to about this level above the horizon. So I can't see him at all at the moment. Even if I was pointing right on it, I wouldn't be able to see him. So we watch him go up visually into the visual ramp. We see all these sailing boats. We see all these sailing boats here. So I'm still looking, not sure, looking to the side, panning to my right, and then boom, right there. I find him. And if I was to play it. Yeah, shit. I wonder if that's it. There, I'm like, yep, that's it.
I think I might have him.
So you have the canopy right there, right? So Paul, walk us through that. Go take your cursor up there to the top of the canopy.
Yep.
In your that one, right?
Yep.
Paul, are you telling me the entire boat is right there in that small amount of space, man? Like, what are you trying to tell me, man?
I know.
Like, why can't I see the hull, man?
It's being swallowed up. It's right there, man. It's right there. But even if even let's say there was no mirage and we still had the horizon right here. So let's just say for whatever reason we were exactly at the same point and there was that mirage, there was no mirage and the horizon was right in that individual dividing line right in between us. I would only see a little bit more of this.
Right.
I still wouldn't see the bottom because look where the horizon is. The horizon is still right here, cutting across here. So I wouldn't see the bottom of this boat because I've still got this perspective that I can't see.
So then how would you describe what it would look like in your mind if there were no mirage there? Because the mirage that's there at the bottom image, if you want to just go to the top of it where the canopy is,
There.
yeah, the top of the canopy is the physical target, and then right below it is the mirrored inverted image. And so then if the inferior mirage were not there, the lower part of the stern, I'm sorry, the hull of the boat would be at that point of convergence and compression in perspective, so that it wouldn't be resolvable to our eye, right? Is that
Well,
that's
I get what you're saying, but I would also say that actually in reality, if that inferior mirage wasn't there, I would see the entire boat and the horizon would be behind the boat.
yeah,
Like
fair enough.
in reality.
Sure, okay.
But if we were to say that, okay, yeah, if we could zap the mirage away but keep the horizon in the same place, then yeah, what you just described is spot on.
So Pablo's dog asks, Paul,
Yep.
how often do you see these mirages across your hundreds and hundreds of observations?
All the time. Depends on the day. If I would say almost every morning, on average, there'll be an inferior mirage.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the day, that'll go. Unless, of course, let's say during summer, maybe it starts off and it's already 23, 24 degrees Celsius in the morning, there will be no inferior mirage.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a northerly wind, which means the wind for us comes off all of the land, then quite often there may not also be a mirage because the air temperature and the water temperature will be a lot closer. But in general, I will have an inferior mirage almost every day in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. So this observation was done in the morning, and I deliberately did it because I knew that later in the day it was going to be warmer, and I was going to see if we could do another observation. But my mate on the boat, my other mate doing the filming from the other side, he had to go. But yeah, so now we see it, and we'll see him pop up, and he gets right to the horizon, right about there, somewhere around here. Now he's on the horizon, and I'm seeing to about here now. Right, so the mirage is still impeding what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
And now as he starts to come closer towards me, he's going to start disappearing from my friend. Unfortunately, he is not clear, so apologies for that. But we can see that the bottom of the boat is, we can see the miraging happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And now as he keeps coming towards me, I will now watch him now that he's broken free of the mirage. So right here, right about where are we going? Right about there, somewhere around there. He's just breaking out of the mirage right now.
Mm-hmm.
And now what we'll see is him visually come lower in my vision, and he's right there for my friend.
Higher, yeah,
Just see the
higher in my
canopy.
vision, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can just see the canopy, and we'll watch him now get lower and lower. Look at where the horizon is now. Horizon
Mm-hmm.
is above his here. The bottom of the boat is all the way down here. So it's physically impossible for my friend to now see him because he is below the horizon. And as it keeps getting closer and closer, we'll see it do the same thing. And he took off to the side there. And then we can just watch him sitting there below the horizon. Not actually below the horizon, because even though people don't like this word, I'm going to use it anyway. We are not retarded. Our thinking has not been retarded. We can know that he's not actually below this horizon. This is all optical, in the same sense of when it's like this and I can't see him, he's disappeared. He's not actually below a horizon. He's not physically below anything. He's just optically below perspective and the way that our eyes work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the the beauty, I think, of what you just demonstrated with the reality to be, juxtaposed to the grid that you put up with the schooner ship or whatever it is, the whatever,
This one.
the freighter, right, right. Um,
So now that I've just shown that, now we can see what I mean, that as something approaches the horizon, and it doesn't really matter what it is, we could put a building here.
oh, that's what I was gonna say.
So this could be a building that's
Mm-hmm.
close to us. And then we
Yeah.
put another building over here, the same size, and another building over here, and it's still going to do the same thing. And then when we put the same building back there, the same thing's going to happen. It's now going to start to disappear. It doesn't matter whether it's a boat, a building, a mountain, doesn't matter what it is, the effect happens.
Now, the thing that I was thinking about when I brought up this last point of the contrast between what you did in reality and what this looks like is that we don't see the effects of the condition of the medium affect the grid. Like it's too
Mhm.
pristine, right? You know what I mean? Like this is all
Yeah, yeah.
sharp lines and whatnot, and everything just gets so distorted and so displaced and so magnified and compressed that it's just so interesting to watch the two different perspectives that you were showing. I would just really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so the main point is like the way that we've got to look at it. And also, let me just throw this in. Now, if I was to go back to, was it that one? No, it wasn't that one. It was this one. Okay. So if I just skip back here again, sorry, give me a second to find it again. Actually, that's pretty cool. I'll show you that stuff as well. Oh, God, how far down is it? Did I lose it? Just. Holy shit. There's too many slides.
Too many slides.
Yeah, trying to find it. Anyway, let's just, we'll just, because it's too awkward.
Yeah, it'll come back up.
Yeah, it'll come back up sooner or later. All right, let's get rid of that one. Okay, no, cancel that. Let me just do this. Okay, so when it's on our side of the horizon, we're negating refraction. We don't really have to talk about refraction when it's on our side of the horizon. It's all this stuff way back over here. This is where the refraction's really gone crazy, right? Now, obviously, as it gets closer and it's still a few miles away, yeah, sure, it's going to start going through some refractive things. If we could have a bit of a superior mirage going on still in front of the horizon, and this boat could be stretching and warping and all kinds of weird things. But in general, when it's right here, right in front of you, no one can claim this as refraction. It's got nothing to do with refraction when it's like 200 meters in front of me. It's not refraction isn't making this happen. I've just labeled, like, as a little extra thing, little tag phrase or whatever, perspective through refraction. And that's what we're getting. This is perspective. This over here is through refraction. Once it starts to get way up higher in our perspective grid as it gets to the horizon, now we've got perspective through refraction. Now all kinds of funky things will start happening out here somewhere and beyond here. But when it's like right here, this isn't refraction. I mean, you could possibly say to an extent it is, because refraction's happening at all points, but the refraction right here is extremely minimal. So
Just
no
like
one
the
can sit
curve,
there.
man. That's just like the curve, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So right here, this can't be, no one can blame this bit on refraction. This isn't like, oh, this is just all refractive effects, and oh, we can't determine what's going on back here, and you can't say the difference between refraction is causing the globe to being flat or blah blah. Like, you can't argue refraction here, right? So that's the beauty about this argument as well. Is this argument is height based. This is purely your height above the surface.
So just real quick, because you had a crow's nest on the image there, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he brought up the fact that he didn't use this example, but since you have it here, he would have said something to me last night in our conversation. Yeah, but I'm going to climb up the mast and I'm going to see more of the ship ahead of me. That was his reply as we were talking about this very thing.
Right. Okay. And that's where we bring this in. Okay. So what causes perspective in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we see in perspective? Why do we see this visual ramp? Why does that even happen in the first place? So if you're here and you're this little person in this helicopter, let's say we've gone out to the beach, it's a perfectly, absolutely, there's not even a ripple in the water. It's so flat that we dig a hole in the sand, we stick a helicopter in there, and we get the person's eye level so perfectly in line with that, with the surface, that now you don't see any surface. All you see is that line right in front of your eyes. You can't see the surface beyond your eyes because you're so perfectly in line with it. The surface doesn't exist. All you see is a line.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to create a surface in front of you that you can see? What creates
Elevation.
that? Exactly. What creates that visual ramp? So I forgot to put this there. What creates this visual ramp?
Hey,
As you
look,
just
man, all
said.
you have to do is do the exact reverse. Go back to that last grid right there. What would you do? Well, let me ask you this, Paul. Paul, how could you make all of those squares and grids disappear in your eye line? What could you do, bro?
Yeah. You could put your eye line dead in line with
Right.
whatever surface it is.
You
So it doesn't
lower
matter what
your
the
eye
surface
line.
is.
Yeah.
If you got a table, everyone's got a table at home. Everyone's got a surface somewhere at home. You can literally put your eye line down to a point, like put a whole bunch of things on the table. Now put your eye line down perfectly in line with it, and all of those things will look in the same plane.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are you going to get them to the point that you have that perspective view of them,
Nice. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
To be able to have that perspective view of them, to be able to get, like, how are you going to get this? Because that's how we see in reality, right? This is how we actually see. We see everything ramping up. We see that this arrow is below this one, below, or above, sorry, right? So how are we going to get that? So when we go here, the only way for us to get that in the first place is to rise above. So what I'm basically
Mm-hmm.
putting forward is that it is your elevation above the surface. That's what creates the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have a horizon in the first place. And then refraction will tell
Mm-hmm.
you the distance to that horizon, whether that be close or far.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
refraction that causes how far away the horizon is, but it's your literal height above the surface that creates the horizon in the first place. Because if we aren't above the surface, the horizon's right in front of our eyes. Now this here, we could say that if let's just say I only rose up 1 millimeter. If I rise up 1 millimeter, I create a 1 millimeter of perspective. That would be a 1 millimeter little visual ramp. And if we were to place all different things there within that 1 millimeter, they will still look like one's lower than the other one, but they're not. They're still on that same plane. So it doesn't matter how high you go. Even if you just raise up 1 millimeter, you are going to create this visual ramp. So it's your height above the surface that creates the visual ramp. And if you've got different height surfaces all around you right now, and you look, the perspective on each one of them is slightly different. It's not a theory, it's just how our eyes work. It's not an idea. It is how we see. Now, our cloud layers are the same, because when something's above you, now as you move up towards it, you're losing that visual ramp, because that's just a ramp that goes down, because we have that convergence, right? So we have the convergence of the sky and the ground. They converge together. Now, what I'm saying also about the horizon is it's that dividing line of perspective. It's where convergence turns into divergence. So we converge to the horizon and we diverge beyond the horizon. And that divergence is perspective on the opposite side of the horizon. Now, as this person goes up, he creates a new perspective here within those clouds, because he's now gone above the clouds. And now the next layer of clouds will become the new until he hits the top of them. And now that will become a line within his vision. And then if there were more clouds above and we kept going above, this would just keep happening layer by layer by layer, right? And so when we watch it actually happen in a visual, excuse me, that's what we would see. We'll lose everything from the ground, because now the clouds underneath it become the ground in a way.
And then your horizon is moving farther and farther and farther away from you, and also becoming more and more looking like just a band of light.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it fuzzes out. Like when you're up 35,000 feet, and the predominant amount of time, the horizon just becomes fuzz. And I've been in planes plenty of times. I was literally just on one 2 weeks ago. So I've been on hundreds of plane flights. And so does the horizon appear to rise with you? Well, if I do this and we see this horizon appearing to do that, it's pretty easy to understand what's going on. Why is this happening? Right? Why is this happening? It's obvious to understand that we know that that is happening because I am the one that is rising. Let me go to this one here, because this one here has a few more visuals. I'll go over this part here with you in a moment. This is pretty cool as well. But just while we're on this one point, I'll keep going on this one point. Okay, so we just watched this. All right. So we just saw this, and the way that the clouds all here will all change perspective. And now we see this ramping up of perspective in the clouds here, just the same as we see the ramping up in perspective of the ground. Now, is that what we actually see? Do we see that within the clouds? And do we see that as you lower yourself down, you will get to a visual line? Now, unfortunately, this plane didn't quite go, or the video of this plane didn't quite hit the horizon to completely take perspective away. But we can see it happening. We can see that as it comes down, this visual ramp that we see is disappearing, and it's becoming a line. And that line would be our horizon, right at our eye level. And so we go to the next one, and we see the clouds above creating this like tunnel effect, ramping down, the ground ramping up. This one here, down to bottom left, we see that tunneling again, and the ground doing the ramping up again of our visual perspective. The next one, we're now well above the clouds, and we could just say that that bottom cloud layer is the ground. Just put land there instead. right? It's the same thing. Doesn't matter how high or low you are, perspective works the same no matter where you are.
It's just,
So
how
now
about
we're in,
this? What if the lower you are, the more severe the floor rises? So the higher you go, it's almost like, if you can remember how I did my example with my cribbage board, and I held the board up and I said you could see
yes.
everything, and then if I lower it and lower it and lower it, like you're going up and you're going down.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're on the ground looking out to the horizon, the floor has a more severe rise up in front of us. It apparently rises up. And then the higher, like in this left pane that you have, the higher you go, it seems to almost flatten out that horizon because it stretches it out so far. Do you understand what I mean? What
Yep.
I'm trying to
Yep, for sure. And
Yeah.
also with the compression of the way that perspective works, and I'll show this a little bit later. But so with that compression, if you have obviously, let's just say you're only at 1 foot and your horizon's 15 miles away, you've only got a 1 foot of perspective. Everything 15 miles away is going to be so compressed because it's being kept in that tiny little angle. So even though you can see 15 miles, those things at 15 miles away are probably going to be so compressed within your Rayleigh's criterion, within your angular resolution, your angular vision, that you're not really going to even see those things at 15 miles away. Now, if that horizon on a different day was still only 15 miles away, but now you're 20 feet above the surface, those things that are at 15 miles will be a little bit more visually within your visual view, within your field of view. You'll be able to see them, provided obviously you have a camera to do so, because 15 miles is a long way away.
Right. Yeah.
And so when we go up and down, is it what we see? Do we see things disappearing? Do we see things, appearing? You can see this little one all the way back here starts to disappear. Now, if I go like
I'm
this,
sorry. I'm sorry. Just real quick. Is this your footage? You did this?
yeah, I did this.
Okay. And so you've just got a camera that's able to just go at a vertical ascent and descent?
Well, what I did was I basically I just had my camera on the tripod and I set it up so that the arm extension of the tripod, I just lifted
Sure,
that
sure.
and then I just
Yep.
lowered
Okay. Yep.
all
Okay.
the way down. And then here, what I've done is I've just done sort of the Ken Burns type thing on your thing where you can zoom in. So as it went from one bit, it's going from this like sort of slightly zoomed out and it's zooming in. But that's just all after editing. But now when it's at this point here, see how we can still see the lines, the grains? So we know that we're still above the surface because we can see the perspective. We can still see the surface. Now, these are 1.4 meters away. This is I think it was 1.8 meters away. And this is 2.97 meters away. So this is just over 9 feet. This is
Okay.
about 1.8, so more like 6 feet. And this is more like about 4 feet. Now, as I'm lowering myself, see how we can still see the lines? So we know that we're still above the surface because we can still see the surface. We can still see those lines. So we know we're still above the surface, right? We haven't dropped below the surface yet. As I go down lower, we can still see the lines and see how now right here, this is starting to disappear. But we can still see the surface. See how you can still see the line? Still see those grains. So we know we can still see the surface. And I go a little bit lower and we start to see this disappearing right here. So now technically our horizon has moved to 1.8 meters away. I've made a horizon within a 3 meter distance and it's created right here.
Mm-hmm.
And now as we go, we can still see the lines and this is starting to disappear. Right? And now, obviously, we've now got to a point where the surface has now disappeared. So now we're probably saying I might be just starting to drop below the surface because now we've lost this.
Hmm.
But you can still maybe even just see a tiny bit of surface, and we've lost this line right here.
Right. So what's that top band in the background? Was that part of the wall fascia?
No. I just put a board, this thing here. I just put a board up there and put a bunch of lines on it so I could see whether or not any lines disappear.
Yeah. Okay. So what made the gray part of that plywood? Just like a
Sorry,
tape? Just like tape?
it's
What's that
this
gray?
grey bit here.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's lines. I drew. They're blue lines
Okay.
like this.
I gotcha. Okay. I gotcha.
Yep. Okay.
So
So
then, oh,
yep. Oh.
you flipped it upside down.
So yeah, I just flipped it upside down and says, well, this is the same thing that happens as we approach the clouds. We lose perspective as we approach the clouds, and then when we would go past the clouds,
You're tripping me out, man.
we then would go past the clouds, just like I showed with the helicopter. You know, my little helicopter animation. Right. So as we approach the clouds, we have this flat layer of clouds, and we will lose perspective of them. And then we would, from here now, be popping through the clouds. And when we pop through the clouds, I guess if I went to all the way over to here, we would pop out of the clouds, and now we would go up. And we're coming up out of the clouds, and now this would be clouds. Imagine this is clouds now. So it's basically the same thing, right? Here we have a perfect cloud layer. Look at that, even showing us nice lines.
Yeah. That's why they spray the skies.
Right. So we see this perfect perspective of lines going all the way down to the horizon. Well, we're not seeing the horizon here, but you can imagine that would go all the way to the horizon. Right. So perspective is how we see everything. Perspective rules our world. Let me get rid of this little thing.
Just to let you know, we do have a token troll in here letting us know that the dip of the horizon is predictable and measurable, Paul.
Okay, cool story.
Yeah.
So refraction is predictable and measurable in a certain sense. Once we get to a certain point, we have an idea of what's going to be going on. We have this bending of the light, and the bending of the light is going to bring that horizon closer or further from us. So I just say big deal. Who cares? But here we see perspective going to our right, perspective going to our left. Like, perspective is not just some artistic thing. If you don't draw in perspective, you don't see the world for the way the world actually is. Perspective is just how we see the world. It's not just a drawing thing. Some people try and say, oh, well, perspective is just used in drawing. No,
Mm-hmm.
perspective is used in drawing because that's how we see the world. And if you
Yeah,
didn't
it's
draw
because
that way,
yeah,
it wouldn't look real.
exactly.
Like, you know,
Not only that, but think about this, man. This is my own opinion. I don't know if anybody else has ever said this. So, if I'm repeating someone else, I didn't know about it. Part of my argument against light traveling forever is that I'm not constantly seeing shit come into my face. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not like I'm an antenna of visual, auditory, sensory apparatus. You know what I mean? My ears, my my eyes, everything. Right? I'm sensual in that way of speaking about it. But I only see as far as my eyes can see, regardless of the fact that 10 miles away there's a truck, and I don't see this truck coming toward me in 3D.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Like what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the ways that they explain the way the world works, that's not the way I see it. That's all I guess I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. So this here is actually how I started my first Globebusters presentation. We kind of went into the middle of it because I was just kind of there. So we kind of jumped in the middle straight away. But that's fine. We can just chop and change because we're just discussing, so it doesn't really matter. But as you know, look at the way this creates lines. So see how we get a line of the mirage? There's like a perfect line straight across the horizon. And we'll see miraging start to happen but we'll see the blue. See how right there you see blue above there?
Yeah, I know all about it,
Yep.
man.
I know you know all about it, but this is also for everyone else.
Yeah, for
So
Mike.
we get
Hey,
this
Mike,
here.
pay attention to this part, Mike Snow.
Yep. So we get this little, see this little blue line right here? This is where the water has broken out of the mirage. The mirage happens inside the pooling sections. It happens in the trough, not
Yeah.
on the peak.
Yes.
The
Yep,
mirage
just like a
happens in the
fucking
trough,
lake.
right? So the next one here, we're going to watch this happen. We're going to watch the horizon because this is on the same day. Let's watch the horizon move from this point here, and we'll see it breaking in little lines all the way until it gets to here. So we're going to see it breaking in all these lines.
Yeah.
Right. So this is in a bit more fast forward than the other one. And we see all the lines through here. It's like a perfect grid. It's like the ocean actually has a grid. If I turn my camera to the, yep.
Can you go back to where it started? Go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I'd be interested. Yeah, right. So there's the boat. If he's just trolling or whatever, not going too far, like I would be interested in starting out right there, like putting up a control line and then watching how, because in my opinion, we're not just seeing what you're showing us, but why we're seeing it is because the conditions of the medium are changing in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we go from there to here, there's the buoy.
Wow.
That boat was here.
Yeah.
That boat was down here
That's
somewhere.
what I'm talking about, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So we sort of
Yeah.
go into a full blown fast forward. But now we see 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. You guys can see my mouse, can't you? My cursor?
Yep. That's fine.
So we've got one line, then dark blue, miraging line, dark blue, and then miraging line. So this is the way the mirage breaks up.
Yep.
Now let's just imagine you guys call it a deck, I think, like a patio type thing, a deck. Now imagine that these are all the planks of wood on the deck, right? You're with me on that one?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you've got a deck and it's just planks of wood. Now we can see all lines here as well. See all the lines here?
Come
This
on,
is
tell me what
all
those
lines.
lines are called, Paul. Tell me what they're called. Make me
The ether
proud.
band. The ether band.
Well, okay, so I'll pardon you, but yeah, these I call aqua bands because
These ones
because
you
they're
call the aquabands, right?
yeah,
Yep.
the coloration of the water. But
Right. Yep.
you're perfectly
Cool.
in line with what I'm talking about, though. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so these aqua bands right here, these are happening everywhere. And you imagine like you've got your deck on your house, or it's a really long pier and it's got all these bits of wood slatted all the way across it. Now, when we're here, we just don't see all the slats of wood back here. We only see all these slats of wood here.
Yeah.
We see all the bits of wood from the pier here. Now, as the mirage moves, all of a sudden we just start to see more and more of the pier. We see more of these slats of wood starting to appear. So, and this happens if I was to turn my camera, so let's say this is facing the left. If I went and just turned to the right, the same thing happens. But now all the lines would be straight out in front of me because now I've moved my position. It's not like this only happens to my left because the mirage is now in front of me if I turn to the right.
Right.
And you still get the same lines. It doesn't change. This just happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if it had got about another 2 degrees or maybe 3 degrees Celsius warmer, then this would have moved all the way. And this was the same part as the front, the start of the one that I showed. So we see that ship there called the One and All.
Man.
It's a beautiful
Go back
ship.
before the schooner comes in. Like, I'm trying to watch that distant landscape because it seems to me that it holds its position pretty well. And it's just that the horizon is getting closer and closer and closer to it, man. That is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And now we see this dude had moved back in and he's over here. But that's about where he was anyway. He was down here. And see how now perspective has moved up?
Yeah.
All of this has moved up.
Yeah. This is
and see how it looks like it's
some good
he's
shit,
almost
man.
on the see how he's like it's still up slightly higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's
Yeah, but
almost
that's the
the same
different
plane.
plane. Right. But that's the different plane. That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about. Here, yeah,
And
it's
now when we go
shallower, it's
here,
shallower. Yeah.
now it's a higher. There's more of a gap here because he would have to be literally looking as if he's dropping. Okay, and within my thing, I was like, "Yep, this is a trigger warning for all the Globers. You're going to hear perspective a lot, and we know that they don't really understand or like the word perspective." I say horizon a lot. I always do this where I give all you guys props because you came before me, and I learned a lot from all of you,
Hey man,
from
props to you, brother.
Heath to Pavlos to Paul there,
Yeah,
Sky
shout out to
Free
all
right
these
away,
beautiful people.
and even Phuket Words done some amazing stuff on
Oh
perspective.
yeah, Nick is amazing.
He's
Nick
done
would
some
Nick
really
would
good
love
work.
to have you. I'll try to send him an email. I'm gonna write myself a note right now.
Yeah,
Because Nick would definitely have you on, man.
yeah.
As a matter
So
of
this is
fact, he should be up right now because he's in
yeah. I
where's
think he's only a
Phuket?
couple of hours in front of me. Let's just skip through some of this stuff. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
need to see that. So this is where here is where I would say describe the horizon is the dividing line of perspective. So this is my interpretation of what the horizon actually is. The horizon is the furthest visual point where you can see the surface. It is the furthest visual boundary where the sky appears to meet the ground or water, and all visual paths converge to a vanishing point. But there's an extra part. It's where convergence ends and divergence begins.
Yeah, the
And
divergence part. That's the whole thing that I was talking about before. You have that visual divergence because you're on, like you've got the floor of the ocean, right, or the floor of your visual space, which is the ocean. And if we're following the reflection of the sun up that way, as
mhm,
soon as you get to the horizon, what's ever beyond the horizon is no longer on that same plane visually. It's a
mhm,
completely different plane.
yeah, but they still see the same thing. So in a sense, right? Because they're still seeing this as well. They're just seeing
Yeah,
it from the
no
opposite
doubt.
side.
Yep. Yep.
Like this doesn't change. And I've just proven that to you by my boat observation, going
Hmm.
from jetty to jetty. Like this in a way, see, this was all a concept. I was introducing this like a year ago in the very first presentations I did, but it
Yeah.
was I didn't have as much evidence as what I have now for it.
Yeah.
So
You know
now
what I
I've
like?
gone and collected all. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, you know what I like about all of this is my learning curve as well, because I remember hearing you talk about this for the first time and just thinking, okay, like I understand what I'm seeing, but the way he's explaining it is new to me. So I've got to like learn the way that you're seeing what you're saying. And it was just I really appreciated that work that you did, man. It was really, really helpful in so many ways.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And for me, this actually came from a couple of different observations and came from a lot of arguing with the Globers. So,
Yeah,
props
thanks.
to
Thanks.
them.
Props to the trolls, man.
Props
Absolutely.
to the trolls. Yep. And so, what I also say is that you personally yourself, you are also a dividing line of perspective. And I will go over that as well if we have time. Now, here is where I go into it doesn't matter when something moves away from the horizon, it will drop below the horizon. And when it comes towards the horizon, it will appear to rise up. That's just what happens. Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is me showing it in the sense of like when we see all of these boats move away from the horizon, we see them drop. When they come back towards, we see them rise. And now this is exactly the same as what I showed before on your side of the horizon. When you see it move towards the horizon, it will appear to rise. And when it moves away from the horizon, it will appear to drop. So when it's moving away from the horizon, once it's past the horizon, it's now coming towards you. So you'll see it drop in your vision. You're seeing the same thing. We've already just established and shown that. Now, this bottom one here, all of these that are mine, these ones here, they were all from 20-foot observer height. They were all done from the jetty. This one here is from 2 feet. I was on the beach, and this was about 21 to almost 22 miles when it disappeared. And if I
How
pause
far
this,
away did you have it visually? 20
about 22,
miles?
22 miles, or by
Wow.
the time it completely disappeared. Now, if I go like this, let me escape from here. What happened? What happened? Where did I go? What did I do? Mm-hmm.
Did you kill your? Well, never mind. I'll let you figure it out. I have no idea.
I have
By
no
the
idea.
way, while Paul's figuring out his video's shenanigans, just wanted to take this moment for station identification. Thanks so much for tuning in to 1 hour, 20 minutes of The Plain
Oh,
Truth 2.0. I am your host, Travel Mateus, hosting Paul from Plain Reality. While I'm thinking about it, Paul, if you can just take a moment and let us know about your primary, and I really think only media channel, right?
Twitter at the moment, really, but I am going to start putting a lot more. What the hell happened? I have no idea how to figure this out.
Well, take your time, man. I mean, so could you possibly get a link for us to that? Because I was looking for you and I couldn't
Hold on,
find
here
you.
we go. If I
And
go
I
there,
don't go on.
let me go here. Oh, here we go. All right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So now we're kind of at least back to my screen, which is good. This one. No, not that one. Sorry. Let me go back. Ah, right. Okay. I don't know why it's done that. Let me get out of here. Find this again. Sorry, guys.
Everybody talk amongst yourselves.
Right. Okay. Now
Welcome
we got
to
it
the
back again.
show.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
I just wanted to zoom into this one for you. All right. So if I went to this view, then I could zoom in here. Now, but I can't stop it. Now here, see right there and right there, we can still see this whole ship. This one's just fading into the distance. We still see a little red spot right here, and we still see right here, and we still right here. We can see the whole ship.
Yep.
So this doesn't actually disappear. You
Yep.
can still see all the way to the end of it. Now see if I can stop it right at the right moment. Boom,
Are you
about there.
taking laps, or is this movies and you've just because it seems to have more of like a lapse rate to it?
This one was a movie,
Okay.
but then what I did screenshots,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice.
and these other ones I think were all screenshots. I mean, all pictures, and then I made them into time lapses.
Eesh. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort to then
Yeah.
line
I
up the
cannot even
horizon, get it all
stand
smooth.
yeah, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
man. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Um yeah, yeah, I love so the for me, your image at the very bottom, right, that one that's just that is what looming looks like.
It is
When you
technically, yeah.
see the looming is as far as you can see. And when then you have the horizon closer to you, you've got either sinking, which is not which is not an inferior mirage, but it's right at the beginning. If you want to
Mhm.
think about right,
Yep.
if you
So,
want to
sorry, can I just jump in there quickly? You were about to
yeah,
say
go
it's
ahead.
right at the beginning of the Inferior Mirage. Is that what you were about to say?
Yes.
Yep. Spot on, 100%. You are 100% correct.
Yeah.
Please go on.
I'm just saying that I noticed, and this is the thing that makes me so sad about the science that's not open-minded enough to listen to these alternative perspectives, is because I noticed that the floor looked the same to me when I saw sinking, but no inferior mirage, as when I saw the floor with an inferior mirage. It all looked like it was ramping up and closer to me. But in
Mhm.
the sinking aspect, it was like you're showing us right now with the ramping up, except for the fact that the target that I'm looking at is beyond the horizon and I can't see the legs and there's no mirage. It looks like it's cut off in half. Man, I mean, I'm so triggered about this stuff that I enjoy thinking about. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying, because what happens and what we see is that as the Inferior Mirage moves away and that horizon is kind of rising a little bit with it as it does, it'll get to a point where right where the inferior mirage disappears, and then it would go into what they would call looming, right? But it's just the horizon is just continuously still moving forward or further away from you. Now, I was about to go into a point right there. Shit, I just totally lost it. Anyway, I'll get to it again. I'll think about it again. But yeah, so as that horizon's moving further away from you, we'll get into that looming point. But yeah, it's not that anything is actually raising up over a horizon. It's the horizon is the thing that's moving. The horizons are becoming closer to you or further from you. And also when what I think I sent it to you in just like a voice message the other day, where like we all look, and when we see an inferior mirage, everything looks closer. Like you have that feeling, right? That so all those things that are in the distance, they actually look closer in your camera. It looks like they're not even that far away. And then on the days of looming, when we get all the compression and everything looks further away, and it's compressing. It looks smaller. And then it clicked to me like, well, hold on. The horizon actually is only, let's say, 3 miles away from you on the day of the inferior mirage, and you're starting to see an image because you're seeing that mirrored image. So you're actually seeing an image start at 3 miles away. So that whole image is closer to you. Once you get the looming, now you're actually seeing where the image really is. And it's actually 15 miles away, or it's actually 10 miles away. So now it does look further because your perspective has changed. Your perspective now goes all the way to the image, because let's say the shoreline is 10 miles away. You could only see 3 miles away just before that. So your perspective can only go to 3 miles before it hits the horizon. But
because
now,
of the condition of the medium,
because of the conditions of the medium,
which
exactly.
is producing a mirage.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I've been asked this question: how can you tell me that all of that physical visual space is in that tiny little degree of visual space, bro? How does that work, Paul?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So how does it work? Well, basically, it's because that horizon has been brought closer to you. Once that horizon is brought closer to you, it's the horizon itself that divides your perspective. So when that horizon is now 3 miles away from you, prospectively, everything is going to appear to drop below that horizon now from only 3 miles away. Then, when we move that horizon now to 10 miles away, we have an entirely new perspective of the scene. Our perspective now goes to 10 miles. So we get this visual ramping now to 10 miles rather than to only 3 miles, and then a visual drop off.
And
So
so then
it's,
would you then say that let's say for instance, it's a 10-mile distance, the horizon starts at 3 miles, the 7 remaining miles can be understood to exist in that visual space in the same way that the distant squares on a chessboard are in that visual space, but you can't see them because they are at such a degree of visual angle that 7 miles of distance is compressed in what we call and know as foreshortening.
yeah, yeah. And it's kind of like, I look at it that the surface always needs to go to zero, right? Because the surface is zero. So
Yes.
if you're 10 feet above the surface, that horizon line is approximately 10 feet above the surface. I mean, we know that it's not because it's the surface, but
Right.
it's climbing up to your vision. It's rising
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. I
your vision.
totally dig what you're saying right now.
And now
Right.
you kind of got a 10-foot wall in the way. So now everything beyond that wall appears to drop below it. But now all of a sudden you extend that wall to where now that wall is at 10 miles away. Everything, the entire scene appears like it rises up, but it's not. It's not rising up at all. It just needs to now obey perspective, because everything that was on that 3 mile mark, that was at one point at the highest point, which is the horizon, the visual furthest point you can see at 3 miles. Now, when you extend it to 10 miles away, that little thing that was at 3 miles now drops in your vision. It drops below the horizon. So it's purely optical. It's like it's an optical illusion in a sense. So here's where I did a nice one. Here's an example of the horizon moving closer to the ship and the speedboat. So on the left, I'm going from low, so I'm at a low point, and I'm going to go to a high point. And on the right, I'm starting at a high point, and I'm going to move down lower. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring the horizon closer to each of these things, right? So when I'm on the left, when I go higher, obviously the horizon's going to extend. The horizon's going to get further away. And on the right, as I drop myself from high to low, the horizon is now going to come closer to me. So as we do that, you'll watch both of these things climb up over the horizon. They will visually appear to rise up above the horizon because we're moving the horizon closer to them. And as anything gets closer to the horizon, it will appear to rise within your vision. Right? So this is just showing a basic equal and opposite thing. You do the opposite thing, and that's what happens. But then, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So just by changing the heights, we can produce the same effect for what happens when ships, boats, land, buildings, doesn't really matter, move towards the horizon. Or this also happens when the ships, boats, land, whatever it is, and you have the horizon moving towards them, right? It doesn't really matter. It's the same effect. As long as you move the horizon towards something, it will appear to gain height visually. Now,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
effect,
yeah, yeah, man. I remember talking with a man that I've met in person who is, he. Do you know Sean G?
no, I don't. I've heard the name
He's on Earth Awakenings a lot, or he was. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but anyway, when I was first showing this stuff at the very beginning on the Chesapeake Bay, and I had the channel marker 17 in line with the distant shoreline that was 9 miles away. And I would show them these images, and they were like, man, why are you changing your elevation? And I'm telling them, like, I'm not.
I'm not.
You
Yeah.
guys understand what you're seeing. You're thinking, like, this means this means this. The beauty of what, Andrew Thomas Young tries to model is that he has to move himself away. And I've tried to tell him over and over again, look, I'm trying to tell you about a phenomenon that I don't have to move anywhere and that shit happens. Like, why does that happen, bro?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I had that as well when I'll show those two observations in a bit. But when I'm looking at the jetty in the distance, and on one day, like the jetty's like you can't see the jetty at all, and on another day, the jetty's completely visible. It's totally different scenery. Someone said that to me as well, and they're like, "Oh, why you changed the position or you changed the height?" I'm like, "No, I didn't, bro. Like, look at where the buoy is in relation. It's in the exact
Right.
same position."
Yeah, that
Right.
was my point with Sean G. He came out and met me in Ventura one time when I was out there, but when we were first interacting, that was his response. He's like, "You're lying. You're manipulating all of this data." And I was like beside myself because I just couldn't believe that I
Yeah.
was getting fought about, or I was being fought with about this concept.
Yeah, and that just shows their lack of experience in doing observations. That's all that is. And that's not their fault. They just haven't done it. And that's why it's hard for people to actually imagine this stuff unless you've actually been out there and done it. But you also need to go out there and do it and take the balls out of your eyes. You just need to go out there and look and think to yourself, okay, well, what's going on?
I have a question from the peanut gallery. I mean,
Yeah.
we might as well feed the trolls. They're here. Why does flat Earth have a clear horizon line? Should be blurry. What do you have to say about that, Paul?
What I have to say about that is clearly he hasn't watched the entire presentation.
Hold your
Because
horses there, trouble about.
yeah, like the horizon has nothing to do with the curvature of the Earth. The horizon is purely a refractive effect. Even if you want to say the Earth is curved, it doesn't matter, right? So if you still want to have this illusion, like the horizon is there because of the curve of the Earth, you want to have this illusion, right? It's ridiculous because the horizon is a refractive effect. It moves to and from you. So you can't sit there and say, like, oh, at this point here, see this one right here, see this horizon? This is the real horizon. And all those other ones, they're all
Paul.
fake.
Listen, I'm sorry, Paul. I gotta put you in your place. Standard atmospheric refraction, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can show to the point. So for me, when I have an inferior mirage, so the closest I think I've ever seen the horizon from an inferior mirage when I'm at 20 feet is at about probably close to 2.5 miles. Definitely closer than 3 miles because I've got some markers that are at 3 miles and the horizon's been in front of them. So let's just say it's in between 2.5 to 3 miles. Well, we can watch that mirage move and it moves further away. And then all the stuff at 9 miles, I'll see the shore down there, but I still have an inferior mirage. And then the mirage will disappear at around about the 12-mile mark, approximately 11 to 12 miles, maybe slightly more. That's where the inferior mirage will disappear. Well, from a 20-foot observer height on a globe, my horizon should be 5.48 miles. With standard refraction, it should only be just over 6 miles. But when I lose the inferior mirage every time, it doesn't change. It always loses it around that same point. It's at about 11 miles. So where's your standard refraction? Because my horizon should be now at 6 miles, 6.5 miles. But I never see that. That never happens. Ever.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I have a point that's 6.5, oh, sorry, it's 16.7 miles away from me. And I know that at a certain point there, it's 50 feet above the surface. 100% of the time, if I don't have an inferior mirage, I can see that. But with standard refraction, there should be 66 feet hidden.
Yep.
But as soon as that inferior mirage is gone, I see down to maybe about 30 feet missing, right? But there should be 66 feet missing. But that's not what happens ever. Never one time has that happened. The only time I can ever have 66 feet of that hidden is either during an inferior mirage or pretty much during the inferior mirage. Like that's the only time it can happen is during an inferior mirage. But now let's have a look at this. Now here I'll show you, how did I put all this? Let me see. So the effect is the exact same thing on either side of the horizon. As any object moves closer to the horizon, no matter which side it's on, it will appear to rise up above the horizon. We 100% know that this effect we witness on our side of the horizon is perspective. We know that. And in here, because this was the start of the presentation technically, and I'm going to prove to you that it's just perspective on both sides, which I think I have done already. We've already gone over that part. But now here, look at what happens when all I do is go from high to low. This is me, and I'm just, this is 2 different days, but this is going from high to low. And what we get is the exact opposite. We get the exact opposite thing.
Yeah, that's
It's a
wild.
complete perfect mimic,
That is
but
so
the exact
wild,
opposite.
man. Yeah. You know what? Listen, I would challenge anybody who's listening right now, regardless of who you are and what side you're on. Did you ever learn anything like this? Because I don't remember learning. I mean, whatever. But this, yeah, being on this side of 7 years ago, yeah, this is I'm really digging this, man.
Yeah, thanks. And like, I mean, I wish in some ways I wish it was someone else who discovered this because I'm not the most articulate person in the world.
Yeah, but
Like
listen,
someone else
bro,
would
but
articulate this
listen,
much better than
you're
me.
the freaking amount of devotion and energy and time that you have devoted to this is it just speaks for itself. So that, I guess that's what I'm saying. What you're doing here visually is what you're trying to be articulating with your words. I think you're doing what you feel like you're not.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Um, but so yeah, I actually worked out that because I started doing these observations at the very start of 2023, and since that time, I've actually had probably two different separate occasions of 2 months each where I didn't even go out and do one observation because I was working in my garden and trying to get that ready. So that's 4 months off out of from the start of 2023 until now. And I've done 650 days of observations. So
Yeah.
that would actually, even if you include the 4 months, I didn't do one observation, it works out to about, I've gone out every 1.5 days
Yeah. Nice.
and done this. So like I didn't muck around. So when I'm talking to people and they're saying stuff and I'm just going like, no, that's not how it works. It's really frustrating because it's kind of like, and I'm sure you'd feel the same frustration. It's like you haven't done this. You actually just don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
we've got the listen, Paul. We have the maths. We know why the dip angle happens. We have this equation, and yeah, you're talking to someone who hasn't gone out and hasn't watched things blow those equations out of their abstract ideologies.
Yeah. Now, if we just look at that same thing without the boats, without anything, all we're doing is looking at two
That's
boxes
a
go up and
teeter
down.
totter, bro. Wow,
That's all we're doing.
that's
It's an
awesome.
exact opposite.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it's a teeter totter. Right. And
That is
this here is
great.
where in the presentation where I went back into this part, we've been right over this. So we don't really need a refresher on this bit. We've seen this. Everyone should understand this. Now, here is where this little orange boat, and this is, we could say the universe, the creator, God, whatever you want to say. It's almost like it just threw it at me. And I was out filming one day, and one of my cameras that was pointed right in one area filmed this little orange boat. And I've broken it up and put it just so that it's just a slither. And it filmed this orange boat come all the way close towards me. Now, what we're watching is this orange boat move away from the horizon. Now
Can
we're
I
watching
stop
the
you here? Here's where I was watching your presentation. Which are both of these actual live, or is just one of them and the other one's edited? Because you're trying to demonstrate the beyond the horizon part. So is the left one real time going away from you, or did you capture it actually getting to the horizon and going beyond it as well?
yeah, both of these were. I think the one in the middle is film. I think the one on the left was just photographs.
No, okay. So maybe I'm just talking about your sailboat right now.
Yep.
Is
Oh, right.
is
Sorry.
is the right column a live action where you're filming it going away from you? The right column.
No. So what I've done, and I'll show you that in a second,
Okay.
is I just overlaid water.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks. Yeah, yeah,
So this
yeah.
is the exact
No,
same
no.
image.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Yep,
Yeah. So now I'm just trying to mimic, like, okay,
yep.
well, let's have a look at what's going on as this comes closer to us. We just see it drop lower and lower and lower, and we watch this in the boat footage. It's just that now we get to see it coming straight towards us.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right.
I gotcha. Mhm.
Now we'll go here, and this is where I used one of your examples because
Yep,
your example here shows it perfectly. We have the boat, the ship on the left, or the boat on the left, and the boat on the right. It's the same boat. All right. Same boat. You're on this side looking at this. Your friend's on this side looking at this.
by the way,
You're
both of
seeing
those friends are in the chat right now. Adam and Derek are here. Shout out to Adam and Derek. Bombaclack Gato Fish and Magi on YouTube's.
nice one. No, as soon as I saw this, well done, guys. As soon as I saw this, I was like, man, this explains exactly. This is exactly what I'm saying. These guys are on the opposite side of the horizon, and look at this thing. It's below the horizon. We just put some water right where the horizon is, and we're going to cover that. Now, why don't we see the top part here? Because this is a much closer horizon, and it's in an infrared mirage. So we're getting it mirage from here. We're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing from there down,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
But we're seeing the same thing. This is below, appearing to be below, and this is
How about
appearing to
this?
be
How
wrong.
about this? Just in the same way where your cursor is at the hull of the sailboat, at the same let me try to think if I can get back to what I'm saying. Hold on real quick. If you go from where your position is to the bow, right?
Oh, yeah.
But go to the surface of the water where it hits the stern, right? Go to the front of the boat, right? Yeah. And now if you go to the horizon, that's the same degree of angle. If now you go to the other side to the horizon, go to the
Yeah,
horizon,
there.
yeah, and then go now
Hmm.
to where the stern of the boat is. Bonk, same thing,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you're probably right. It'd be pretty darn close.
right?
It'd be very close.
And that's
Yeah,
the
good point.
opposite. That's the
Yeah,
exact opposite.
yeah, yeah, good point. Very good point. And so here, this is an image of mine where both I didn't put either of these in. That's an actual image. That is a picture. So now we're just seeing the same thing, but I'm looking at it on my side of the horizon, and there it is on the opposite side of the horizon. So it's like we've actually got your image, but all in one. That's just the boat on the opposite side, and that's the boat there.
All right.
And now if we just block water over that, we block the sail, we block the boat, and we just put a little boat there, and this one's just cruising around, and this one's behind the horizon. We just got the same thing. Now this here is just the footage from that day, and we just watch this little boat cruise coming towards us, doing his thing. Right now, I know these poles here are 3 miles away. So right here, well, pretty much right where that arrow is, that's 3 miles away. These poles are 5 miles. This is 8 miles away. And now we're watching it just drop below the horizon. You can see the horizon cutting across here. And this thing just gets lower and lower and lower until it eventually gets. And if it, unfortunately, it crosses the scene here. If it just, I don't know, maybe if I was panned out a little bit more somewhere along those lines, then I would have got the whole thing. So we see it as it comes, and it's just dropping further and further. And here we have it in, so we can actually see, why did you do that? And we'll go back there again. There we go. So we see number one, and we see that horizon getting lower and lower
Oh,
as
I
far as
love this. I love this. This is a chiasm, bro. Number one matches 10, doesn't it?
number one matches 10 in a way. Yeah. Yeah. Just the exact
And
opposite.
then 5 and 6 are the opposite. This is a chiasm, man. This is
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
artistic, poetic device, and you didn't even know it. I love
Mm.
that. It's like if you think about it like a greater than sign, the 1 goes toward the 10 and then the 10 goes back out toward the 6. Think of it like that. Boom, boom.
Ah, right. Yeah. 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 I got you now. Yeah, for sure. Nice. See, I'm doing art without realizing it.
Yeah.
And so now here, what do we see? So this is looking all the way to my right, looking at the horizon on the right hand side. And here we have the horizon. I think I moved this down before it was up here. And when I did presentation, I moved it down. But as we watch this go, here's the horizon. Look, it's cutting up in the sail now. And now it come from one horizon and it moves towards the other horizon and it rises up.
Man, that is brilliant, dude. Go back. That is absolutely
So as it cruises,
yeah.
we see
Yeah.
it there, boom, boom. And now that's about in line with me, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. And so then if you were on the opposite side, that's as much as you could see of that ship right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Or you wouldn't see anything below that.
Oh my God. This is
But the
like
difference
this
is,
makes so much sense, man.
yeah. But the main difference is that because this is really close to me, it's very large. And if it was on the opposite side of the horizon in the same distance as the horizon as what it is to me, this would be much smaller. That's the only difference. But we would still be seeing it around about this level.
That is brilliant. I really love that. That image right there. Like even though
I'll
I
do it.
understood what you were saying to me, That was a visual. Yeah, that
Well,
was good.
I got some way cooler ones.
Yeah,
This is
well,
the one that
I can
I
imagine.
showed you that day that
Yeah.
we looked at before,
Yeah.
and we watched this rise up, and as it goes here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if I pause this about here, check out the superior miraging going on up here. This is pretty crazy. But we'll go to the next one. Now here, did I show you this one?
No, I don't think I've seen this.
Okay. So here we have it in the inferior mirage. It comes out of the mirage, goes past me, probably around about here is where it was in line with me, and now it goes off to the other horizon and then starts to disappear.
Wow. Except for the fact because this is an inferior mirage, it doesn't go below the horizon. It continues to go above and beyond.
Yep. Yep. So we have this one here, and then
Yeah, that'd be the question for the Globers. What happens when the excuse me? What happens when the you see how the ship's going above the you see how where the horizon is and the ships how does that work?
this
How
one
does it go
almost dropped
above the
completely.
horizon?
Yeah. This one almost went completely under, but not quite. But you see it, look, it's going from the bottom up, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
man,
moving
that's
away
awesome.
from the
That is
horizon.
so good.
It's moving away from the horizon. That's all we need to do. It's those two verbiages, right? It's either moving towards the horizon or
Yep.
it's moving away from the horizon.
Yep.
When it moves away from the horizon, it will drop. It will
Yep.
appear to disappear from the bottom up. And when it moves towards the horizon, it will appear from the top down.
Yep.
And it happens in front or behind the horizon. It's the
And
same
with
thing.
the inferior mirage, the obstruction happens visually closer to you, and with now
Exactly.
it's going to happen farther away.
Now, this one here, I paid this guy to just go to the horizon and come back. I'm just kidding. I didn't. I didn't pay him. It was just a coincidence. He just went to the horizon and then just came back.
That
But
is
beautiful.
hilarious.
Just absolutely perfect. Thanks for coming, brother.
Oh wow, man. That
Yeah.
is so funny.
Right. But if I go into
Wait,
let me
go back and show that again. Cause like let's watch see what happens to the hull, right? Like we can see, right there at the stern, it looks like there's blue, right? Or I guess it's just the however the stern is shaped. It's just that color of gray between, right? You've got the lower white. And now as it goes away, it just everything. You can just see like where'd the windows of the cabin go? And then as it goes away, where'd the windows of the cabin go? I can't see. And then what?
yep, let's get it right when it was on the
I don't know, man.
there you go. Right when he's turning around, he's just inside the mirage.
Yeah.
Just inside. But I'll find this because I did this one for the for the presentation that I just did on Glowbusters. This is pretty cool. You're going to love this. Let me find it. And that must be further down this way. Okay. Here's a couple more. So I'll show you these ones as well. Because I just thought, rather than me showing the Shane ones game when I was, because I just kind of like went back over the concept again because this is the concept that people need to understand. So this is that one, and they're both moving towards the horizon, and they both rise up. So it's the same thing. We see them rise up above the horizon as they move towards the horizon. All right, but then I made this. And now we see a whole bunch of them. So some of them are actual film, some of them were just pictures. And we see the same thing as they move away from the horizon, they drop below the horizon, and as they move towards the horizon, they start to rise up above it. This is not something that just happens every now and then, and it won't just happen for me. It'll happen for every single person on this earth because it's just how our eyes work. Everyone could go out and do this. It's not like exclusive to me in the little area that I live in the world. This happens everywhere. There's nowhere it doesn't happen. Now, if we just go by that, and I was to say to you, which one of these ships, which is the same boat, what I saw it went past me heading to one horizon on the left, and then it came back a little bit later, right? So if I was to say which one's closer to the horizon, which one would you say is closer to the horizon?
The right.
Exactly. And you know that because you can see that it's higher in relation to the horizon.
Yeah.
So if we go here now, and I won't play as in normal play because this is about 9 minutes. I will
Oh,
just
come on.
I can just slowly make it go a little bit faster. I don't think anyone wants to watch 9 minutes of this boat just cruising by. But so as we go here, and I'm going to make I'll make individual videos out of all of these eventually. And as we see it come from one horizon, now it's coming towards me. We see the horizon gaining higher and higher on it. So this is the exact same boat that I just showed those two pictures of.
Yeah.
And now look at it.
Yeah.
Just here.
So now, if you, ladies and gentlemen, if you think about this from the opposite perspective, looking back, if you were on the opposite side of this police boat, on the other side of the horizon, looking this way, the only part you would be able to see, in theory, based on what we're talking about, is what you can see above the horizon in this image.
This section right here.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't even see that because this little
No,
thing would be
I know.
so
I made
tiny.
that caveat knowing what you're going to say, but I'm just saying for anybody else, I'm just saying in theory, what we're seeing on this side is what you would see on the other side, and you would have that much of the boat missing. And
For
this
sure.
is really phenomenal work, man.
Yeah, it was amazing when it clicked to me, and I'm like, holy shit, look at this. The same thing's happening in front of the horizon. But we've been gaslit so much that our entire thing has been going like, what's happening behind the horizon? But it wasn't behind the horizon we had to look. It was what's going on in front of the horizon.
Nice. Yeah, that's a nice little switcheroo right there, man.
It is a switcheroo. It's a total gaslighting. And it's not that we all got sucked into it. It's just that that's how it was. We're just like, well, what is going on back there? Like, what's happening? And in fact, let me just hold on.
Well, let me stop just real quick, but just for the sake of repetition, Derek said, did you guys already discuss what creates that horizon? I know that we have, but if you wanted to just give them your 2 cents.
Do you want me to go over that section quickly again, or
just give them just at this picture where you have it right now, describe in your mind what is creating that horizon. That's what I want you to do just real quick.
So you have a combination. It's two things that create the horizon. Refraction will tell you the distance to the horizon. That's where you get the distance to the horizon. So at the moment, see this point right here. This spot right here is 50 feet above sea level. With standard refraction, 66 feet is where the horizon should be. We're missing about 20 feet at the moment, so we've just coming out of an inferior mirage. Right? Now, what's going on is it's your height above the surface is what creates this horizon in the first place. Now you can go back and you can watch the first part, or probably about 20 minutes or so in from this interview this discussion.
No, that's great.
And you'll be able to see it. But it's your height above the surface that creates the horizon, and refraction will tell you the distance to that horizon.
Nice.
At any particular
I
moment.
like that. Yep, that's distance and elevation. What I've been saying from I don't even know how long. Yep.
Yep. So this one went and it just cruised all the way. Well, let me have a look here. Okay. So right here. So we're still just slightly missing a little bit here as well, right? So I would say that the horizon is at around about 11 miles. And I can say that because people will be like, oh, how could you know that? And I'm like, well, it's just a rough guess from someone who's looked at this area more than 600 times with a high-powered zoom camera. And I actually have, sometimes I'll be out there with 12 cameras, right? So, I haven't mucked around. I've gone out and looked. This area here is about just about 9.7 miles away. It's called Merino Rocks, and we can see to the shore here that day.
Yeah, that's the shoreline, man.
Seeing all the way to the shore.
Yep.
This here is, so this area over here, this one right here, I've done a mirror observation from here. The guy had the mirror about 3 foot off the surface, and I was at the base of my jetty where I'm standing, 12.6 miles away. My camera was 5 foot above the surface, and we got a mirror flash. Now, I've also had a friend right here, and this is probably a high tide, I would say. I've had a friend right here. He had the, this is 9.4 miles away, or 9.4 miles away. And he had the mirror on the sand, and we had the mirror flash from the sand, but I was at 20 feet, but there should have been 10 feet hidden there. And he had it right on the sand because it was a dead, flat, calm ocean day. And then here we have the jetty. And unfortunately, because we've got some crazy algae bloom thing going on at the moment, no one's swimming, no one's doing anything. So they've removed my buoy here, which is really annoying. They've taken it away.
Oh, wasn't it yellow?
So, yeah. So, I have a bit of a cry every now and then, but I'll be okay. Right. And then all of a sudden, I didn't notice it before, but all of a sudden, there you go, it was coming back. So then I got to film it come back. And that's why when it got to that level there, you can see this is about in line with me now, and it still didn't, that was about there. About there's in line with me, and now the horizon was here, but whereas before the horizon was up here because it was closer to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Right.
Yeah. And now it just cruised off, and as it cruised off, we see it rise up above the horizon, and it gets to this point here. And this here is 3.6 miles away. This tip right there is 3.6 miles away. And then off it went.
Yep.
So let's go back to the other presentation now.
Is that Jesus? Was that Jesus walking on the water?
It was. Jesus loves walking on the water. So, yeah, and if we look here, this guy is not a flat earther. I don't know who he is, but I'll promote his channel anyway. He's only got a few subscribers, not many. 700, more than me. But as we see here, this is just a camera, just filming. We see a horizon all the way up here. This point here, as Shane St. Pierre mentioned, like this is like covering most of your field of vision. But from here to here, if I was to put a line across there, it's probably about there. That could be, 500-600 meters. And we don't know how high, I don't know exactly how high the camera is, but if we were to look at this and imagine like, whoops, what happened there? We could imagine that like we're looking up here. So the camera must be probably, we got palm trees down here.
Yeah, there's palm trees right there. And then
right.
you have, you're probably about
so this
30,
camera must be about 100 feet.
Oh, you think?
There's palm trees, depending on how big they are.
Oh, I guess that's true.
I guess let's just say we're 60 feet as a rough guess.
Right.
Could be 50, could be 80. Right? So between this point here and that horizon, there could be 10 miles there.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't know. But so then I was like, okay, well, what would actually it look like from the opposite side of the horizon? This is that's all they would see at the same point, same observer height. They wouldn't see any of this.
Oh,
this is all quantity. They don't see any of this going on. They don't see all these little boats cruising around here. All they would see is these.
Yep.
That's all they'd be able to see. Okay. Here I just went into because I typed in, is perspective a law? And perspective isn't a law. It's really just something that they use for art, which is ridiculous because it should be a law. It should be a formal theory because it happens all the time, every time. It wouldn't be able to be falsified, right? And not falsified because it's unfalsifiable, but because you could go out and test it constantly all the time, and you won't be able to falsify it because it happens without fail every time. So it's not something that you could falsify, not because you can't go out and test it, but because it just does it every single time without fail. So
What's
I think,
interesting,
yeah,
yeah,
go.
what's interesting about this is that um, talking about perspective, I just lost my scientific law perspective. Poop, I lost it. So sorry.
Unfalsifiable. It won't be able to be
Yeah, no,
falsified.
no, I don't know, man. That was
You
it
lost
was
it
there.
last
Yeah.
time. Yeah. It's all right. Happens to me all the time. You might get it back. But
Hmm.
yeah, so you say, is perspective a law? No, perspective is not a scientific law. Perspective is an artistic technique for creating the illusion of depth and space on a flat surface. No, perspective creates depth and space in your three-dimensional world. That's what creates your three-dimensional world. Perspective creates your three-dimensional world. Like you wouldn't have your three-dimensional world without it. If anyone wants to do computer programming, you want to draw a world within a computer program, you have to obey the laws of perspective. Or they're not laws, they call them the rules, but they should be laws, because this is what we see. Perspective
Oh, I
creates.
got it. I got it. If you one of the last videos that you watched of mine where you said that you made all those comments,
Yeah. Where I went crazy.
there was a part where I was reading from Andrew Thomas Young when I asked him a question. I said, "Can you give me an example of this?" And what I meant by that is I want to see what you're talking about. But all he did was give me these quotes from decades, if not centuries ago. And one of the quotes described viewing the world as if the edges were at his eye level so that he were in a concave surface. So if there's anything that the earth demonstrates to us immediately when we look at it is concavity, if you want to go that direction.
Perfect segue into, because I'm literally just about to go into the Kona perspective.
All right.
So a perfect segue, 100%. And when we look out here, so we've got the 12th of September, the 14th, the 17th, and the 18th. Someone tell me which horizon's further than the other one.
Which one's further than the
Like,
others?
you're not going to be able to
Which
know that, are you?
one's further than the others? Holy shit. Um,
Like, it's
I
just
would say,
impossible.
based on what I'm seeing right now, paused right now, I'm going to say top right. It looks like it's farther away. If not, bottom left.
I think you're pretty close there, actually. You might actually be right. I know this one is an inferior mirage. I'm pretty sure this one's a distance and this one is a distance. And these two are actually inferior mirages, I think, if I remember rightly. But it's kind of a redundant question, because what it is the average person goes out and looks at the horizon and they don't see anything. All they see is that.
Yep.
They just go out there and they look, and whether it's a far horizon, a close horizon, you don't know because you're not out there looking at it every day with some high-powered zoom camera. The only reason I would be able to tell, if I was just looking out, I can kind of look and you can see within the water. You can be like, oh, I reckon that's an inferior mirage. You can kind of see it with your eyes when you know what you're looking for. And I'm sure you can do it as well, right? And so now we have looking from at Grange Jetty and Brighton Jetty, right? So these two are looking towards each other. Now I don't need to let that play through. But so when we have here, so the 12th of September, yep, was an inferior mirage. And you see on the right-hand side, I'm at Grange, I'm looking towards Brighton. And on the left-hand side, I'm at Brighton looking towards Grange. Now, actually, I'll escape out of here so I can blow it up. Now here, I'm looking towards Grange from Brighton. I'm saying the horizon is at approximately 3.5 miles away because I know this is 2.5 miles and I know these are 5.5 miles and this is where the miraging is. So in between this point here and this point here somewhere, there's 3 miles. Now, judging on the distance between here and here, I'm just saying I would say that that's approximately 3.5 miles. Now, when I look this side, I can be a little bit more accurate. because I know that these are 3 miles away. And you can see the mirage is just breaking right where they are. So here I can be more accurate. And I know that now the horizon is approximately 3 miles away. And I will be getting to a much greater point here. When we go here, now I'm at Brighton and I'm looking towards Kingston Park, right? And we see, again, this horizon at around about the 3.5 to 4 mile mark. Now here on the 14th, when I zoom in here, now looking from Brighton, we're seeing all the way to the jetty. And here's that little, this is a little inlet 8.5 miles away. So on this day, if I was watching that boat on this day, we would watch that boat go all the way and I would watch it go up, right? Because for me, it would have started low. It'll start low down here and it will go up in my visual ramp. Now, my friend standing on Grange Jetty, he would have watched it be up high and it's going to come down his visual ramp. And that's what we will catch. So that's the next project, is to go out on a day like this and catch it like that. So we see the difference in how. Yep. Okay. So.
Yeah. So when you say a day like this, can you elaborate in terms of what you're talking about?
A day where we see further.
How are you going to know that that's going to be the day, right? That's the whole question. Like, how predict, right? This is a prediction of scientific investigation, right? Because otherwise you're not going to go out on this day because you don't think you're not, like, I've walked to this happened more in the Chesapeake Bay than it happened anywhere else. But I would get out of my car, get my gear, and look out and go, oh, looming, oh, inferior. I could just tell. I just knew.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know because I knew what the temperatures were. I could just tell by what I saw. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Well,
Derek was asking a question earlier about, I think, more like predicting when these conditions, like which conditions are going to produce what you want to see in your mind. Like, what were the conditions be to see those images again?
Well, I would say that in general, they are correct that when the air temperature is warmer than the water temperature, that's what would produce what they will call looming. That's when we'll have a further horizon. When the air temperature is colder than the water temperature, we're generally going to get an inferior mirage. But as I think you have, and I definitely have, filmed an inferior mirage where the air temperature was warmer than the water temperature.
Yeah, Sky Free as well.
Yeah. But yeah. I've had that in humid climate, in tropical climate. I've never had that personally where I am, but when I've gone up to Cairns in tropical climate, I've had that. So I suspect maybe, even though they say humidity doesn't have much to do with it, maybe it can kind of change things a little bit in that sense. I'm not 100% sure, but that would be my hypothesis to it, my idea of why that may be happening, because I really don't know why. But I have 100% filmed. It was 35 degrees Celsius. The air or the water temperature is between 28 to 30 is what I checked. And I had quite a strong inferior mirage. So I don't know. That's just my idea.
Well, let me ask, what do you mean by that? When you say a strong inferior mirage, what does that mean for you?
Well, I would call this a strong inferior mirage.
Okay.
And for me, so I would say, see how it's coming up to 3 miles here?
Yeah.
Let's just say I could tell that I could see all of the jetty, but there's still a slight inferior mirage all the way back here. I would call that then a slighter inferior mirage.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because now that mirage is like way off in the distance, close to.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Here's a way of looking at it. So when the mirage is further away from the land or further away from whatever it's miraging, I would call that a strong inferior mirage. If the mirage is much closer to that land, I would call that a weaker inferior mirage or a less.
Yep. I like it. Yep.
Okay. So then from here, I just mucking around, did my own little GIF of, or not GIF, I did my own little jetty. Now this circle here that I put here, this is actually the same as this circle here in the way that it comes back towards me
Yeah.
And all I did was just make it super big, like 55,000 pixels or something, and it's creating almost like a straight line straight across.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But okay. So the horizon is a 360-degree circle around you. And that would be under perfect conditions, because I'm sure you have, just as I have, where I've looked one direction. Let's just say I'm looking to my left, and I can have the horizon at closer to 3 miles away, or let's just say on this day I was at 5 foot observer height, and at 8 miles away I'm getting 30 feet hidden inside an inferior mirage. I turn 120 degrees,
Oh,
right?
sorry, man. I'm just like putting things together in my head. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. And so when I turn 120 degrees and I'm now looking a little bit more to my right, there is no inferior mirage. There's a ship that's 13 miles away, and I'm probably only missing 10 feet of it. So that's not really a perfect 360-degree circle, because now my horizon is closer to probably
Wait,
11
wait,
or
wait,
12
wait.
miles away.
Do you have this in
Yeah.
video?
Yeah, it's on my Twitter.
So what you're telling me right now is that, like, for instance, if you were in the center of this ellipsis under the N of a round, and you were looking to the right ellipsis, and there were an inferior mirage there. Are you saying that at some point when you turn to the right to come another 90 degrees, it has vanished and now you're seeing farther?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I've had it a few times, but it's rare. I don't know exactly how many times I've had it, but if I've had it 5 or 6 times, be probably that.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is a rarer occasion, but it's not actually rare that when you look from one side and you look to the other, like maybe you still have an inferior mirage, but the inferior mirage is 3 miles away on one side, and on the other side it's 5 miles away. But it'll still be normally, if you have an inferior mirage, it goes all the way across the entire horizon, the entire way, all the way around. That would be normal conditions, but not all the time.
Well, I mean, even where you're at, you've got land that's closer to you behind you. You'd have to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So the horizon is a 360-degree circle around you that visually appears to rise towards your eye level. It can appear slightly lower, it can appear slightly higher, but always appears to rise with the observer. Now, this is where we did this before. Here, I am the person, I'm what's rising, obviously. And let's just take this spot right here. Let me escape out of here so I can use, don't do that to me again. Okay, I'm going to have to do this again. You cheeky bugger. Might be this one. No, it's not that one. Sorry, I'm just going to have to find it again because it's done that same thing to me. But now we know how to fix it. Okay. All right. So I'm the one that's rising here. Now look at how as I'm rising. Now look at this person right here. Look where their eye level is. It's cutting across here. So see, I'm at the level of their shoulders. That's where my camera is. I'm at approximately the level of their shoulders. If I was to just go up by another foot, I could get that horizon at their eye level. And this is where they would see the horizon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they would be looking at it up here.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so, wrong way. So let's just skip through that because we already did it. This comes from Jesse, showing that the horizon at 28 feet above his eye level, horizon at 20 feet below his eye level. So when people say, well, you put the crosshairs, the horizon will never be where the crosshairs is, that's just complete bullshit. So we don't need to go into that. But so your height above the surface is what creates the horizon for you. And that's for every individual person. If you're a 2 foot tall toddler, your horizon is there for you, right? This creates a cone of vision. You experience the ground appear to ramp up towards your eye level, 360 degrees around you. This creates your perspective, which in relation to the horizon, objects close to you will appear lower in your vision And as they approach the horizon, they will appear to rise until they reach the farthest visual point, which is the horizon. Once it goes beyond the horizon, it now moves, which means it's moving away from the horizon. It will now do the exact opposite and visually start to drop below the horizon. So this is our cone of vision. This is how we see. So this is why I said it was a good segue, because that's what I was about to get into.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what we have. We have this cone of vision around us. And this cone of vision changes. So here I go, a 6-foot observer. And how far is that horizon? Well, it's many miles. I don't know, because it changes. And we've got a 50-foot observer. And how is it? Well, I don't know. It's many more miles. It's like way more miles. And as you keep raising, it just keeps going further and further. And we don't really know how far it is. And that's kind of what's happening. But this point is actually 0 for everyone. For every single person, this is 0. And what happens is this person is going to see it come up. It's technically 0 for him, but it needs to drop back to 0 for the person who's down here. It's got to drop back to 0. It will always be zeroing itself. Now, as you move, your cone of perspective moves with you. So every time you move, that circle moves with you.
Right. That's the rendering and the simulation part, because it can make things be I said this, I thought this was really, really good the other day on one of my recent videos. I said something like, or I put it in the text. What we're watching right now is light consuming light within light. And it's just the nothing of the infinite eternity that is in front of you. It just consumes and devours whatever enters into it. Mm-hmm. And that to me is like a simulation. It's not, because if you move closer to it, you can bring the thing back. Or if you move higher, you can bring the thing back. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And now, so if you want to look at it as a simulation in that sense, well, the Unreal Engine. So when people say to you, "Oh, show me a flat Earth model," I just go, "Cool. Go look at the Unreal Engine. Go watch Fortnite. Go look at any video game." Right? Because the Unreal Engine, people build that on a flat surface, and you can build hundreds of miles on the Unreal Engine. And when you rise up, islands that weren't there come into your vision now. Mountains that weren't there, all of a sudden you see them, and they just perfectly mirror exactly what we see as we rise up or lower. And it's all a flat surface. Now, if they curved the surface, it wouldn't be the same. It would drop off even faster. You wouldn't, it just wouldn't be the same, but we mirror it perfectly with the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
That's how they depict reality, and they depict it on a flat surface, and it works perfect. So now this cone of this moving perspective moving with you, your cone of vision moving with you, does that happen? Well, let's have a look. So here I am on Grange, and there, when I'm looking to the right, that's 3.5 miles away. And when I look to the left, right, 3 miles away, this is that day again, 17th, right? And now and then I move to Glenelg, which is 5.5 miles away from Grange. So I move to Glenelg, and I look back, and this is called Henley Jetty just here, right? And the horizon's in front of Henley Jetty. So I'm saying the horizon by looking at some other bits. I looked at further to the right, looking at the land, and then that sort of gave me an idea of that approximately 3.5 miles away. And then I went to Brighton, and I'm looking towards Grange, right? Oh, hold it. Sorry. Did I do that one? Did I confuse myself? Oh, yeah, sorry, that's Glenelg. So, yeah, sorry, then I'm looking from Brighton towards Grange, and there we have a 3.5 to 4 mile horizon. So you see how the horizon's moving with me each time? Now I can't see as far over here. The jetty down here is disappearing. So we have a pretty strong mirage here. And then I move over to Brighton looking towards Glenelg. right? And this is where I can see where the horizon comes here, because Glenelg is only 2.5 miles away. And then I move to another area. Now, obviously, this is going to be slightly confusing to everyone, but I'll show you what's going on in a second. So here, now I'm looking from an area called Kingston Park, and this is Brighton Jetty just here. And here you can see the horizon is at Glenelg, just in front of Glenelg there. So we have a horizon that is, Glenelg's 4.16 miles away. So we've got a 3.5 mile horizon. So it just keeps circling with us. So now this was my circles. When I was at Grange, this is where I could see from semaphore to those markers. When I moved to Glenelg, now I could just see in front of Henley and couldn't see Kingston Park. It was in front of Kingston Park. And then I
So
moved
then go
to
back real
Brighton.
quick. The Henley part is closer to the horizon and the Brighton is farther away. That's what you were talking about before with like what you were saying, a stronger or a weaker mirage.
Okay, so that was looking from here. So that was looking from, what did I say that one was looking from? Glenelg. So that's looking from Glenelg, right? So when I'm looking out from Glenelg and looking towards Grange, this is Grange Jetty right here. This is Henley Beach Jetty right here. So this is Henley.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I'm here at Glenelg, the horizon was in front of Henley,
Right.
which is in front of Grange,
Yep. Okay.
right? So we see that my circle of my vision is moving with me every time. When I went to Brighton, that's as far as I could see. And then when I moved to Kingston Park, that's as far as I could see. So it's not like, again, this is just some weird ass theory. This is just what happens. And this would happen for everyone. Now, on the other day, when all of a sudden we have this vision where we can see, I don't need to go to each different jetty because I can see from Brighton Jetty all the way to Grange Jetty and from Grange all the way to Brighton. So now when I'm looking like that, this is the difference between the 2 days, but don't worry about that. When I'm looking like that, well, now this is my circle of vision. When I'm standing at Grange,
Wow.
I can see all the way to Kingston. So now I've only got 2 circles of vision.
Yeah, man. This is really good work.
And I'm at Brighton. Thank you. I'm at Brighton, and now I see all the way to Grange. So it's only 2 circles, or really 1 circle that I needed to make up that same thing that I
And
needed.
so we
So I
live
had
in a
4 circles.
simulation, right? Yeah. Yeah, these are just simulated cones of visual space or whatever you want to call them.
Right. And yeah, for sure. And now this is where I know that you like these ones. So let's just have a look at these. So this is my cone of vision being totally different on each one of these days. One day I
Yeah.
see much further, one day I see less.
Yeah. That's great.
And then we look here, we're looking down towards Brighton. Top right, we're seeing all the way to the shore. Bottom right, we're seeing all the way to the
Wow.
shore. Top left and bottom left, we have a
Man, oh
mirage. So
man. Wait, hold on. You're telling me and the audience right now that the top right pane, is that going to be the same focal length on these?
that is probably a different focal length. It's be
Yeah.
slightly more zoomed
Because
in.
it's yeah, I would say so. But
I
but
think the
look at
bottom
the
3,
bottom.
the others are probably all the same focal length. That would be probably at 1,000 millimeters. Oh no,
Okay,
no,
so
sorry, the bottom left. The probably the 2 diagonal from top left to top to bottom right. They look like they'd be pretty close to the same
right.
focal length.
Yeah, I was just
The
trying to
others,
figure that out because yeah, video. I think the P1000 is better for telling you the focal length on video than the 900 was. But I was just going
yeah,
to ask if those two bottom, like if anybody. But see, that's the whole thing is that that's the way the atmosphere can change the perspective. Like, just say for instance, on the right side of the pane, bottom right. If you can go back to that, Paul. Can you make it smaller? Because yeah. So you can see that it looks like that image is zoomed in on because it's bigger and apparently closer. But then the one to the left is smaller and farther away.
Mm-hmm. But if I just
And
go like this and we just zoom in on it, then we get that same effect.
yeah. But my point is
Yeah,
that you don't. Yeah, right.
focal length.
The air is a lens that does the same effect here. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Now here's where I was saying how this is a more acute mirage. You see, this is 5 miles
Right.
away,
Right.
and we can see that the mirage is just inside these now. We can see these little bits of the rock wall here, which are 5.5 miles away, and you can see that they are just miraging. But on this day,
Can't even see him.
like, yeah, and so this mirage on this day is much closer. We can see the mirage is actually miraging those markers.
Right.
So it's it's much larger.
Is that
Obtuse,
whole area
obtrusive.
open, or do you have certain channels that everybody has to stick to?
People do tend to, they all, I mean, they don't have to stick here because I think there's enough, it's deep enough. So sometimes they'll be behind those markers and then they'll be in front. But that's because between this marker here and this point here, you've got about 2.5 miles. So
Mm-hmm.
that's actually quite a large space between there.
Yeah, for sure.
So if I zoom in as much as I can here, between this point here, see all that water right there? There's 2.5 miles in there.
Yeah.
That's 2.5 miles of water in that, like,
Yep.
1
And
millimeter,
that's
couple of millimeters.
foreshortening.
Yep. And so here we have a different day. Oh, let's have a look at. Oh no, yeah, that was. So here we have totally different conditions, and looking at Hallett Cove. This one's pretty cool. Watch this one down here. I should zoom in on this one. Then you see the boat further away, and we see it even further away.
Nice.
I'll do
Yeah.
this actually because that way you'll be able to see it even better. So it's the same boat.
Right.
It's closer, right by the buoy, then it's further away, and then it's even further away. So we're seeing all the way down to the shore here today. You can see this little colored section right here.
Yep. You
It's
betcha.
all the way down to the shore. You can see this little boat. Look at this little thing all
I
the way down
don't
here.
doubt anything you're saying.
Right. I mean, I've had the mirror test from here to the beach where I am. That's a 3-foot mirror to a 5-foot camera. And this one here is only 2 miles. Oh, sorry, not 2 miles. Be less than a mile away, approximately a mile away. It's not there anymore. And just like this one's not there anymore. But this one is closer to 3.5 miles, and this one's closer to about a mile, or maybe even slightly closer than a mile or thereabouts. So there's 2 miles distance, maybe more than 2 miles distance between here and here. And then between here and here, that's between 3.5 to 12.5 miles. So that's about 9 miles between there and there. That's why this boat looks so much smaller. Look at it. Look how tiny it is compared to when it's here, 3.5 miles away. Here, probably closer to, I don't know, 5 miles away, 8 miles away. And then here, closer to 11 miles away, maybe. I don't know exactly. I'm just making shit up. Just taking random guesses. And so this is what I said before when I said you also yourself, you are a dividing line of perspective, because your feet, everything from your feet below your eyes appears to rise. Everything from above your eyes appears to drop. So as we have things come towards us, when they're coming from below our eye level, they will appear to drop. And from above our eye level, they will appear to rise. When they get right to where you are, you divide perspective. Everything on one side of you does one thing, and then everyone, once it goes past you, it will now do the exact opposite. So you also divide perspective. So the horizon is a dividing line of perspective for what separates you from the opposite side of that horizon, and then you personally yourself are the dividing line of perspective of everything within your own personal 360-degree visual cone from above or below. But for these people on this plane, that's what they're seeing. For them, they're now seeing their perspective come all the way up to that level of the plane. They're seeing it totally different than what you are. But this level up here for them is actually zero. This isn't, 35,000 feet high. This is actually zero. But they'll see it ramp up. But they're still just seeing zero.
Yeah, but would you say that at that height, even, I mean, I guess it's even higher with the weather balloons and whatnot, but the 0 point or ground zero or visual zero, the horizon, when it gets that far away, like I said before, it just turns into a band of light, which is not necessarily, a small fine point. Like if you're on the beach, the horizon can be described pretty much like, yeah, it's a pretty straight line. It doesn't have any, it's very stark. It's right there. You can see it. But once you get, excuse me, once you get higher and it moves farther and farther away from you, that vanishing line or that vanishing point turns into a brighter, bigger band of light. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but
yeah, no, it does 100%. I mean, we could probably just go online and pull up pictures of the
yeah.
horizon planes, and
But in my head,
and
I'm
you'll
trying to
see it.
say something in my head that's kind of abstract.
Yeah, it's like a blur out there. You see that haze
Yeah.
because now you're looking through, 200 to 300 to 400 miles worth of atmo hemisphere, I like to
I
call
guess
it.
what I'm saying is, like, if we looked at the line that you have here behind the airplane, if that's a stark, straight, crisp line. But if you
Yeah,
were going to be able to turn that into a view from 150,000 feet or whatever, it would have a blurry ceiling and a blurry floor.
yeah. If I was to say something like this, go about there, and then I think I can.
If you can like change the lines to be like more like crayons or something.
Yeah, I think I can gradient it somehow.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Where is that? It's not in there. Arrange maybe? No, I've done it before where I've gradiented it. Maybe there.
What about
Maybe,
the
maybe reflection? I don't know.
what's the opacity? No, the opacity is never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah. And we can like drop it down in a way. Like,
That'll kind of give you even a little bit of a duplicate. You can see through it, but
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Like even make it smaller. Can you reduce the size of the rectangle? Yeah, yeah. Right. Yep.
yeah.
That's what I'm
It's all
talking about.
hazed out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all
Yep.
hazed out. So you don't really see this. Yeah, I mean, you're right. This is just visual, but yeah, you're 100% right because you have this hazing of the entire visual field, and you don't know whether or not, because let's just say this hazing is causing the horizon to be at this bottom point right here.
Right.
So
Yep.
now that's going to be visually looking way lower to you. But
Yep.
the horizon, if there was no hazing at all and it was perfectly clear and you had the ability to zoom right into it, could be 200, 300, 400 miles past that.
Yeah.
But you don't see it because you got this hazing in the way. So this is the observation that really kicked me into. It wasn't this one; it was a different one. But I will just use this one because this is a better example of it. This is what kicked me into the idea to start with, because I started mucking around with these two, or a different one, but we'll just use this one. And I started messing with globers, and I'd be like, oh, because they would be posting something below the horizon, so then I would post this picture, and I'd be like, oh, there's a jetty here, I'd put a picture of Google Earth of what the jetty actually looks like, and I'd be like, oh, where's the jetty? Why can't I see the jetty? And some wouldn't take the bait, and others would just go, it's the horizon, you stupid fluff. It's below the horizon. It's the curve of the Earth. And then I would just post this picture and go, well, where'd the curve go? What happened to it? Did it just disappear? I'm like, because this is what it looks like to me more often than it looks like this. And I've actually worked out on the 100 different days that I've actually put into my keynote. 32 of them are more like this. 55 of them are full-blown inferior mirage, and the others are in between. So more than about a third of the time, I'm seeing to the shore. Well, that shouldn't be happening. This is 9.5 miles away. My horizon should be here. Shouldn't be like down here all the time. It's either here or way up here somewhere. You know, that's, like, so my horizon's either like way up here or way down here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm either getting mirages, and when I'm not getting mirages, I see all the way to the shore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is an in-between. The mirage is just about to happen. But
hey, somebody better tell those people on the left that they should get house insurance,
yeah.
for
I love that
all
one,
that
isn't it?
flooded
Yes.
Basements, whatever.
I know, don't you
Do you
love
guys
it?
have basements there?
No, not a lot of people do. Some people do. But yeah, you guys, it's like you have 3-story houses when you have 3 levels, like 2 levels.
Mm-hmm.
And then people have those, huge attics as well. So you got like a 4-story house with a basement.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, so this is what sort of kicked me off into it first. And this is where I started arguing with the Globers a lot more, well, not arguing, but like, messing with them, going, what's going on? And then they would have to deny their curve all of a sudden, like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, what happened to it? Because this is what it looks like. And there should only ever be 4 feet hidden according to your globe. But all of a sudden here we
And
got
not
over 4 feet.
only isn't your camera at the same viewing height?
Same viewing height. And you can see here, you can see the little buoy right here. And we see the buoy right here. So I'm pretty much I make sure I put myself at exactly the same spot every time.
Right.
But sometimes, if this buoy is slightly different position, it could just be because of the different point of where it is within the current and the rope that it's on.
But I was going to say that it looks like the right image tower is lower. So my point is that looming would raise it, but it's not being raised in the right image. It's actually higher in the left image. At least that's the way it looks like to me.
I think I messed around with that over here somewhere. So if I go like this is a different day. Okay, I didn't mess around with it. Hold on. It's pretty simple. We just go like this. Or did I? Maybe I did. Oh, yeah, I did. No, I didn't. I need to raise it. So let's put these houses at the top at the same point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on. I need to
go
like that. Now we'll go to this one. And now that those houses are at the same point, see, this day is not too bad. But see how it's mainly just the bottom? It's mainly just like right along the shoreline on this day. You see the difference in where the base of this raises, but the top of it doesn't raise too much.
Yeah.
The top is a little bit, but it's kind of almost there.
That's
we
crazy.
See the difference in, because as we know, the inferior mirage drops everything. And then, maybe I did it here. Mucked around with it here. No, I didn't. So we could raise this one here. There we go. Go back to here. All right, and we have a difference in the way it is there. See all the floor raise? It's not that the floor is raising. It's just that the horizon's going all the way back here. And I'll demonstrate that, which was where we were about to go. Just here. Now, I'm not sure if I did this. Nope. Okay, so we just go from... All right, so here we have perspective finishes here, and then it goes down. This is our perspective heading back down again.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we get an extended horizon, now our perspective has to go all the way to the other jetty. So everything has to change. When we look at this buoy, see this buoy here? It's now all the way up here, right? Visually. Visually,
Yeah.
it appears up here.
Yeah.
And when we skip one, visually it was up here before. It was in between here. But now everything must change. The entire scenery needs to adjust because now we see further. So our perspective grid is now flatter. Here is a more, would it be an obtuse angle? Like it's a greater angle up to here.
Right.
Here, it's a lower angle, but it's still zeroing out. This is kind of our 0 point. It still has to
Yeah.
come up to here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So now it just extends. So we have this visual extension.
Right.
All right. And so this was another day. I wonder if did I do this? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. No, I didn't. So it's just another day showing you this is more of an inferior mirage. You can definitely tell this is an inferior mirage here now. But we see that same thing. The horizon right up here on the buoy.
Yeah. Buoy. Yeah.
You can tell like between the position of the buoy and this, that obviously I'm in the same position, right? But look at the way the buoy has to drop up and down. It's not that it's moving up and down. It's not physically moving up and down there. It's just that in this one here, it's only 3 miles away, 3.6 miles away. And the horizon is way further beyond here. So now that the horizon is way further, this point back here needs to become the visually highest point we see because
Right.
that's the horizon. And when it's here, now this is the visually highest point we see. So this has to be in the visually highest point. But as soon as
Nice.
you move, now it has to drop because now this is 3 miles away. So it has to drop because this can't be the highest point now because the horizon's all the way out here. So it has to physically appear to physically drop, but it's not actually physically dropping. It's all optical.
Well, hey, man, this has been almost 3 hours ish of just absolute gold. If you want to just, maybe take another 10 minutes or so and wrap it up, I'm going to be hitting the sheets pretty quick. But
All right, let's, because I think that you will like this section. Did I do this? I don't think I did this.
go ahead and do it again because it's always great to.
Did I do this one with you?
Yeah, but do it again. I like what I'm seeing. I like that.
Did we do all this? Did I
Yeah,
go
you
over
showed
this?
me this. Yep.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
show you this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, we can quickly go over it again. I did this the other day, yesterday. So we'll go from here. So the horizon, as the horizon comes closer to you, it will drop. It appears to drop in your vision because right here, as we see, let's just say that these are all miles. Well, this is 14 miles away. This is 7 miles away. So if the horizon comes to this point, within a perspective grid, it's going to have to drop. Now this is the 7 mile mark. And now this is the 7 mile mark, right? So here is a buoy that appears to be on the highest point of the horizon.
Right.
Because that's where the horizon is. But now when it extends, now the buoy looks down here, right? So as the horizon would come closer to you, and if it came all the way to your feet, which obviously wouldn't happen, right, then it would be right down there below your feet. And so now we see this. And when we're looking from here to here, this is what we see. We're going to visually look down. All right. Now, from here, when we look at these two different images, which are both at 1500 millimeter focal length, same position, same observer height, nothing's changed between them. And we go from there to, I have to skip through there, to here, we go, what is this? Because one was up here and one was down here. So what is this? Why is that like that? Well, that's distance. Because that horizon is 3.6 miles away and this horizon is from 25 to 30 miles away. So when we have that is like this, and we have that is like this, right? And I think I actually made this a little bit better in the other one, but I don't want to like skip through it. Don't want to just find the other one. But so I did this for, we don't need that. That's got nothing to do with anything. So now when we come to this and we have this answered, and like Zanuck never picked it, but we have an inferior mirage right here. Right?
Yeah.
And the Globers are absolutely shocking at picking inferior mirages. The amount of times, and it's so funny, right? Because they keep showing me all these different things, and I go, "That's in an inferior mirage," and they go, "Why are you obsessed with inferior mirages?" And I'm like, "I'm not. You just keep showing me things in an inferior mirage. So what do you want me to do? Not point it out?" Like I'm doing a whole thing with Earth is Life at the moment. I don't know if you know that guy.
Yeah, I
And
know.
he's got all these observations from Hawaii, and I'm like, every single one of them is an inferior mirage. And he's like, no, it's not. I never see an inferior mirage. I'm like, yeah, they all are an inferior mirage, dude. I'm like, can you send me the raw files so I can get a better picture of this? And I'll show you, because I can show him, but it's kind of blurry. It's not good. I don't have raw files. So it's pixelated, and he's not going to send me the raw files. So, and who's trying to hide? Who's trying to hide what? Anyone wants raw files of an observation, by all means, ask me. We'll open a Google Drive. I'll send the raw files to you. I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah, I did the same thing with Sean G. On the day he came out, we captured a freighter beyond the horizon, and he did a 3-hour, 5-hour live stream, yada, 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 yada. So I finally watched it like after 2 years. I put it off. And I'm like, bro, there's an inferior mirage out there. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. They constantly do it. And then he's got one from some other dude called BM Furball or something like that, where he shows this other one from that guy. And that dude literally points out, he's like, oh, yeah, look, here I am. I'm filming this boat clearly in an inferior mirage. And then he points to another spot and he's like, oh, yeah, but look here. We can't see the bottom of that. There's no inferior mirage there. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You just pointed from one spot, went to another spot, and now you say there's no inferior mirage? Like, these people are cooked. They have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, so we look here, and what we're actually looking at is the dividing line of perspective. This is the horizon, right? This is what the horizon is. So we get to here, we see this oil rig, and from there, it hits the horizon. Now it drops away. And now this one we see further, and then it drops away from there, because from this one here, now it's going to start dropping away. Okay, and as we've seen, light is always bending up. The only thing we've ever seen with lasers is light bend up. I would say that where the light bends is where we're getting the horizon. That's all we've ever seen is light bend up. And we've seen someone show light bending through a superior mirage. That's not up to me to show it. I can show it, but it's not mine, and I've been asked not to show it. But if you read all the literature on what's a superior mirage, it's light bending down. But we have physical evidence to show light bending up as it goes through a superior mirage. Sorry, a superior mirage. As it goes through a superior mirage, they say light's meant to be bending down. We have physical evidence of that light bending up as it goes through the superior mirage. So they're wrong. It doesn't bend down. Now, hopefully that person will release that soon, and then I can include it as a part of the presentation, but it's not up to me to do that, so I can't. It's not mine. We've been asked not to share it, so I can't share it. But so here, we'll just skip through that. Now, I'm making the comparison between the buoy is the same as this one on the front here,
Mm-hmm.
and the tower is the same as the one at the back.
Mm-hmm.
We have a horizon created, and then this is what we see. As we skip through, I think this is a GIF. No, it's not. As we skip through, this one is a GIF. This is what we see. We see it appear to raise. It's not raising. We're just extending the horizon. That's all it is. It's purely just perspective. It's got nothing to do with whether or not the oil rig is raising and lowering. It's just got to do with the fact that the horizon is changing positions.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to go, man, we'll wrap it up. because it has been a while.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And I think that there's no, yeah. I mean, look, this is my fifth or sixth time, watching you do this, and it's just getting more and more clear. So I really, really appreciate. I can't say it enough, man. I really do appreciate all of your hard work, and can't thank you enough. So
Yeah. Yeah,
all
no
of the
worries.
energy that
My
we're
pleasure.
all, yeah, all of the energy that we're putting into this is it'll transform and it'll blossom when it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, in a way, what I need now, because I'm just one person, I can't get this message out to everyone. Anyone who's watching, anyone who ever watches, I mean, it's so obvious. The only thing that they can really say is coincidence. That's why when something's in front of the horizon, it appears to be below. It's just all coincidence. Because otherwise, how else? What else do they have? You have these two perfectly mimicking things. I've now shown it from one jetty to the other, showing a boat actually going from one jetty to the other. It's not even like it's not just an idea anymore. It's a proven idea. So this is what happens, and it happens 100% of the time without fail every time. So they need to now combat that and just go, well, it's still a globe, bro. That's all they got.
Yeah.
Or PhD Tony said, you need to prove that this is exclusive to a flat Earth. And it's not that I'm going to say that it's exclusive to the flat Earth, because, well, I personally think that the way that it works in front of the horizon and that it's due to perspective, I think it is personal to a flat Earth. Things disappearing behind the horizon, that could be done on flat or globe, right? Because if it's a globe, clearly there's going to be a horizon and things are going to disappear behind it. But I think the idea that it's perspective that's doing it, and we know that perspective, you look up at anything to do with perspective over a flat surface. That's what it says.
Sure.
When drawn over a flat surface, they don't say over a curved surface, it's over a flat surface. So I think it does prove that the earth is flat, personally.
Yeah, so just real quick for PhD Tony or anybody else out there, if you want to share this content with someone like PhD Tony, the answer to his question is this: if I can provide an alternative explanation without appealing to curvature, that is a mutually exclusive argument that eliminates yours. So whatever he said to you and like prove this is an exclusive case or whatever, the exclusivity is in the impossibility of the contrary, right? I'm showing you, demonstrating to you that there is an alternative explanation for the alleged disappearance of ships and lighthouses and islands in the distance due to curvature. If there is an alternative explanation for what you think is the cause, that's the mutual exclusivity. It always happens. It always looks the same. There's no difference between, like I just saw it the other, like before, I think before you and I don't remember where I saw it, but it was today within a couple of hours. uh, the guy said, what would this look like if the earth were flat? I'm like, the same. It would look the same.
It looked like that. It looked like just what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just been gaslighting the whole time. And there's just been a complete misunderstanding of how the horizon works and what the horizon is. And it's let's put it the way that Nathan Oakley put it. And they basically just took they just basically hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve. And I've just proven it in a totally different way that's never
Yeah.
really been seen before.
Yep.
We didn't realize that we had this perspective thing going on both sides of the horizon, and that's what was actually happening. This rise and fall, up and down of perspective. We didn't realize it, but when people have been saying it's just perspective, hijacking of perspective, they were right the entire time. We just didn't know how. Now we
Yeah.
have a complete way of knowing how that has happened and how they hijacked perspective.
All right, Paul. Well, hey,
Awesome.
thank you again so much for being patient with me as I remember and forget about our meetings and appointments and all that kind of stuff. I'm glad
Oh,
we
you
were
know,
able to pull this off. Um, just one quick question from one of our viewers, and I can never remember how to say his name, but he's down in South America. And he says, "Do you have the different dates you took the pictures?" Yeah, I think he does provide that data in the panels that he puts together. But go ahead, Paul. Yeah.
yeah, normally, I mean, as you'll see, people will be able to see the one that's on there right now. You know, it says the 12th of October. Normally I do. So if you look at this one here, the 20th of June, and this one here, the 1st of March, like I normally do. Sometimes I've mucked up and I didn't, which really annoys me as well, because then I have to go back and think, oh, shit, which one was that? What day was that? And when you've got 650 days to go through, it's not that easy to
Yeah.
refine
Oh my
what you
gosh,
just did, you
that
know?
breaks my brain.
So, yeah, but generally I do because I do want it. So, like if we look at this one, I labeled these 2 days, but forgot to label these 2 days, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. But when we look at this or here, I've put the dates up here. I generally do have all the dates because I do want it so that if someone says, hey, I want you to show me your footage from the 14th of September, I can go, cool. Which ones do you want? You want it all? Here you go. It's going to take a while because it's about 60 gig. Right.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I generally do have everything.
All right, man. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this latest exciting adventure of the plain truth with the plain reality, Paul. And would you mind just maybe posting a link? Can you do that real quick for? Are you looking at the chat at all? Or if you
I
send it to
am.
me, and if you send it to me in Discord, I can put it out.
Yeah, well, I think if I do this, at underscore plane, I'll just put this into. That's my Twitter. So if someone just you can just copy paste that. That's my Twitter. And I will start posting to this channel from now on. Now that I've started presenting all of this, and in some ways, I'm kind of glad that I hadn't posted too much before because now I've refined the argument. So now I can actually give the full refined argument within all my videos and everything that I do. So it's
Oh,
in a
so
way,
your
it's kind of a
reality,
blessing.
you're okay. So it's plain reality forward on your profile, but it's reality plain.
That's my
Okay,
Twitter. So if you just put in
that's why
at
I couldn't find it.
reality underscore plane, you'll find my
Gotcha.
Twitter
Yeah, I
or my
gotcha.
X profile. Sorry. But you can also, I think you can just click anyone who's in the chat. I think you can just click onto the icon in the after now that I just put a comment in there. I think you can click onto my icon and then subscribe from there. But yeah, thanks. I will be posting a lot more. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for having me, man. It's been awesome.
All right, Paul. Absolutely. Thanks you. All right. Yeah, this is going to wrap it up, everybody. Thanks so much for checking these past 3 hours of. Uh, for me, my mind is broken. I'm going to have to go just chill out and reflect on what's been shared. But let's see if you guys who are still out there, and if anybody in the future is listening at this point, please make sure you like, share, comment, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. I have been your host, Trevel Mateus. Until next time.